in the options still. But anyway, we are going to be playing Werewolf, the Apocalypse Heart of the Forest. It's a visual novel-esque type game. Analytics?
Sure. Dyslexic? Sure. Mute text delay? Make it fast. Or is this lower to make it faster? Right? Yes, make it fast. Alright. Sorry. I'm still messing with options, but I clicked it too early. Okay.
Calm down, you know. It's just a visual novel. Because I was looking at what was else. It was West of the Dead and When Night Comes. And When Night Comes is like a survival game. And I was like, And of course, not many people played it. So there's not a lot of records on how long it takes. And when West of Dead is like apparently 9 hours. And I was like, you know what? Let's do something a bit calm. Let's calm down. Let's read. Reading's calm. Do I need to move out of the way? Hold on. Rage, willpower, health. June? This is a game about rage and how it helps us do things that need to be done as well as things that we later regret. Later. Sometimes both. How do you feel about that? Great, I'm always angry. I'm okay with anger when it's useful. Well, I prefer to think before I act. All of these could have applied at me at some point in my life. I have a feeling I'm gonna have to move out of the way. Probably. Yeah. We'll see. When it's useful. Your rage is balanced. So you're the critical and analytical type. Yep, I gotta move out of the way. Get me out of here. You'll come over here. You know what? We'll put you up here. This looks like a good spot. You can hang out with me over here until they let us do it again. There's no right path here, just your decisions and their consequences. Let's start already. We have a story to tell. I get it. My decisions need to be fair and just. Let's just follow the path and see where it takes us. Yeah. See what happens. The forest. The woods are full of stars. They flicker, come closer, run away. They want me to chase them, to play hide and seek. Stars? You mean fireflies? I want to observe. Oh? Analytical, more spiritual. I watch as they dance around the tree trunks, float up on the gusts of wind that shiver through the branches, disappear among the leaves. There are words in their dance, but I don't understand them. Not yet. Then they bunch up and fly toward me like an arrow. Rushing down, they're soon upon me, but just before the spear of light pierces my breast, they disappear, and the dark of the night returns. Balanced. In the darkness, I feel the tangled roots of stories keeping the forest alive, and I hear the spirits asking me to judge the enemy. I open my eyes. Cold and alone, confused, I open my eyes. The forest around me is thick, dark, and reeks of decay to such an extent that it's hard to breathe. The smell fascinates me. I recognize the forest. Why am I here? Why am I here? My head is spinning. Why am I here? There must be a reason. The tree trunks, wrapped tightly in dark-leaved ivy, are covered in ripples of lichen where the vines haven't taken hold. The thorny, leafless bushes at their base are overrun with nettles. The fungi radiate with a ghoulish, sickly green light. Dark, sponge-like mushrooms cling to the fallen trees. I try to breathe. I'm cold. Something is rotten. I probably should breathe. Breathing seems important. Take a deep breath, suddenly realize that it's not the forest that smells so foul. It's me! I look down and see my hands covered in a dark substance. I'm naked! A sticky, glistening film of liquid is clinging to my skin. I can feel it on my face, in my hair. Blood. Oh, so I guess I just became a moon. Oh boy. What's happening? This can't... I'm alert. I'm awake. Nature is never quiet. The leaves rustle in the wind. Small creatures scuttle in the undergrowth. There is a whisper. I don't understand what it means, but the word resonates in my head. Garo? Garo? Garo. Who said that? There is a severed head right in front of me. Some choices are hard to make, and they strain your willpower. Okay, I have 2 willpower. I wince and touch it. I'm gonna be sick. I'm gonna touch it. Overcoming my disgust, I gently touch its wet hair and watch as the head topples over. The face is contorted, the eyes bulging, the mouth open as though the head were still struggling for air. I balk because I recognize who it is, and then eyes open in the darkness. Who is it? I can see their silhouettes, shades of jet black against the darkness. They smell of fur and moss and bloodied earth. Massive creatures, some with horns, some with antlers. Their eyes burn like small, fiery windows into hell. I look at them and something wakes inside me. I mean, I'm balanced right now. Indicates that the choice is available because of your current status. Okay, I'm sad? Sad. Oh, did I just gain a brave point? They tell me stories of their lost battles and dying hopes, and I sink with sorrow. I sit and listen and cry with them. Then I swear to punish those who have wronged them. In a moment of clarity, I almost understand what the forest wants from me. And then I wake up again. So a dream within a dream? Okay, there you go. The arrival. So I'm a werewolf. Rar. Maya, wake up. My rage is high. Okay, rage is high. We're at max rage. I jerked upright, irritated. My neck was stiff and the movement sent a sudden, sharp wave of discomfort through my body. I wasn't in the forest anymore. I was in a bus. The sun streaming through the windows was making it hard to see. The girl next to me was touching my shoulder, disturbed. Willpower? Okay, one will. What happened? Anya, sympathetic? What happened? Overcoming the urge to push her away was hard. Overcoming your rage strains your willpower. Ah, it's so hard to be nice! She looked at me concerned. You were crying in your sleep. I blinked. The memory of the dream was still there, and the wet stench of decay. I looked outside. I'm glad I wasn't alone. Thank you for coming with me, I said. The girl next to me smiled. I think we're almost there. Her name was Anya. We'd met a couple of weeks earlier on the orientation day. She was from Norway. A tall, broad-shouldered, calm person who wore her long hair in braids. That's not what I see in the picture. Crying in sleep, so me. Oh, Tony. Somehow I'd managed to talk her into this crazy field trip across the land of my ancestors. We were there to study medicine. She seems excited. Anya reached into her backpack and took out 2 apples. I'm really happy we decided to come here, she said. Yeah, I said, offering her some of my kabanosi, dried, meaty sausages that were so much better than the original Polish ones back in the US. I was glad Anya had decided to come with me. I had problems keeping friends around and really needed one. Okay, same. I did some searching, she said from her phone, and this place is amazing. The last primordial forest in Europe. That's true. Our summer language course was starting in a few weeks, and I managed to talk Anya into skipping the tours of concentration camps and old churches and visiting Yaldovitia National Park with me instead. So far, it's beautiful, she said, her eyes smiling. But why are we here again? Good question. Why were we here? There being... Oh, why is this highlighted? Oh, it tells me I was... Baja Wowica. It's a village in Poland's Podlac province in the middle of the Baja forest for which it's named. A small village in northeast Poland near the border with Belarus. It was famous for its national park with the very last European bison and, according to a quick web search, occasional tensions between far-right troublemakers and the local Belarusian community. The most honest answer would have been, because I've been dreaming about the forest since I can remember. I'm not going to butcher its name, but I'm going to try again. Baja Wowica. But people didn't understand when I said things like that. I looked her in the eyes. I keep it simple, so I wouldn't freak her out. I told her everything. Told her as much as I could. I don't want to freak her out. Nina, you absolutely beautifully, wholesomely wonderful human. Hello. Hello, Lewis. Hey, Kian, how are you doing today? We're playing a visual novel werewolf spoopy type game. Because the last game, which most people do in 20 minutes, took me an hour and a half. So I was like, maybe we take a break from survival. But I'm doing good. How about yourself? I'm looking for my roots. I kept it simple so I wouldn't freak her out. What I didn't tell her was even more important. I knew my family was from there. None of my relatives spoke about it, though. There were a lot of things that weren't spoken about in my life. Strange dreams that plagued me, half-forgotten tales about forests and wolves that I'd heard before my mom took me, ran away and cut off all contact with my dad and his family. Wait for her to respond. Anya fell silent for a moment. I think it's great that you come from such a magical place. The last ancient forest in Europe, thousands of years old. I wasn't sure if I was fond of that magic, but it was hard to ignore. And that was precisely why I needed to do something, anything, about my future. That damn forest and my weird-ass family. I wasn't there by mistake. I'd planned this trip for months with a clear goal in mind. I had to face the forest. I had to learn the truth. I had to figure out my destiny. Learn the truth. You're a werewolf. My grandfather's stories, the secrets, my mother running away. There was a mystery in my past. It was time I uncovered the truth about who I was. But now I wasn't so sure if it'd been a good idea. Oh, why are you sick? Aw. Well, hopefully they understand. But I hope you feel better. Make sure you eat plenty of soup. Stay warm. You know, and dry. Condition? Impaired? Oh, why? Because I don't have willpower? It's a pool of points that you can spend to perform. It can be used to prevent the effects of high rage. You regain willpower when you pursue your goal. When it goes down to 0, you are impaired and unable to perform hard mental and social actions. Oh my goodness. You should get yourself some soup. Can you order soup? Your willpower dropped to 0. When you lose all your health or willpower, you become impaired. This will make you physical tasks. Alright, let's practice again. Yeah, wow, visa. Looked like an overexposed photo of a village with the contrast turned all the way up. The sun wasn't just shining, it was shouting at the earth and everything. Trees, grass, the wooden houses, the fences seemed weathered. Just imagine the sun from Teletubbies now just screaming. Everything except the shadows. They were sharp, as though they were freshly printed with the darkest of inks. For a second, I could have sworn, I'm in the way! Where can I put myself? I'm gonna put myself in a different corner. I'm going in a corner. Here, I'll move this over here. It's names. Put myself here-ish in my little corner. I got to block name. There. Well, I guess let's scoot over more then. Throw this up here. Wha-bam! Secrets. Just hoping somebody doesn't have like a very long name. You know what? Scoot it over, just in case. Da-da-da-da-da. There we go. Automod blocked message. Let me reword that real quick. Oh. Remember, you can be sneaky. It's not the smartest of mods, but it does its best. For a second, I could have sworn they moved, but then I realized it was just a black cat walking down the sidewalk. When it saw me, it stopped in its tracks. I tried to pet it. I would... kill for some nice Chinese tomato or curry soup. Can you say murder? Or is it really like you can't say? Unalive person. Oh yeah, you can say murder. I would murder for soup. Oh, Automod. Can't say kill, but you can say murder. Does its best. Alright. Here, kitty kitty. K-word. I said, squatting, reaching toward the cat. In a flash, it swatted my hand away with its paw. Drawing a few drops of blood, I yelped. Hey, Maya, Anya said, looking at me. Didn't you say your friend would be waiting for us? But he wasn't there. And the cat was still staring at me. Let's go. Anya put on her backpack. I'm tired, and I really, really need to find a toilet. I didn't know what to do. I was too tired and distracted to think clearly. My friend was nowhere in sight. Oh, shit. There you go. Also, I know this game is good, but has some glaring flaws in pacing that prevent me from really liking it. I mean, it's a visual novel, so we'll see. But I'm also like, really? Because I decided to be nice to my friend, I have lost my willpower. It took willpower to be nice to somebody, and I'm just like, I got anger issues. Let's see. I stormed off, but the meeting was too important. I'm gonna wait for the meeting. God, my rage is just up there. Let's just wait a little longer, I said. I don't have his number, and we really need to meet up with him. His name was Bartek. I met him online while researching Werewolf. The man knew everything there was to know about local history. I asked him to check if anyone in town remembers my grandparents. I hope he's found something. I really need to pee. Anya said it like I was a 5-year-old and not a very bright one. I wasn't going anywhere. I made my best puppy dog eyes. I caved. I'm not going anywhere. I said it's important. I wasn't going anywhere. Have it your way. See you at the B&B. Anya grabbed her backpack. I really can't wait anymore. Have fun. She winked at me and walked away. You just left me? Alone in a village? That's how Hostel starts. I also love for how like 90% of the games you play, my first comment is always, oh, hey, I know this game. Hey, that's a good thing because then you know what to expect. And then whenever there is a game that you don't know, you'll be like, oh, I don't know this game. Like yesterday, a lot of those games came out recently, so. So I waited and the creepy cat waited with me. Bartek was 15 minutes late, flustered and apologetic. It was his dad's company, he explained while catching his breath. He had to help out with some paperwork. I feel like this is going to be a mean answer. I didn't really care. I said nothing. I mean, I don't care, but I don't want that to be like, you know. You're late, I snapped. Oh no, I thought I don't care. And there was something in my voice that made him take a step back. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and had freckles all over his face. Most recent Sonic game is quickly making its way up to my fave games of all time. Very nice, very nice. Come on, I'll take you to your place. His accent was broad and very Eastern European. I flooded him with questions. Anya would like him. I caught him looking at me. Just met you. Anya probably like him. Anya would have taken an immediate liking to him. He was totally her type, but she wasn't there. Her loss. We walked along the street in the village, slowly making our way toward the outskirts. The trees were growing denser, and their scent becoming richer and more pronounced. Goal family. So did you manage to trace the name I gave you? I asked. Bartek shook his head. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Sorry. He was avoiding my eyes. A trickle of sweat ran down his temple. He was lying straight to my face. What the F, man? I threw my arms in the air. You wrote to me a few days ago that you had something, but he just clammed up. You know what? I think you should drop it. I stopped and unleashed all my charm. All the charm. I turned to Bartek and looked at him right in the eyes. I put a hand on his chest, and I really had no plan after that part. So I panicked and felt a sudden urge to do something unnecessary and over the top. Swallowed my pride and just asked, Girl, no. What? Why? Why would I just smooch him? I have no willpower, so I'm just gonna assault you with my lips. I'm just gonna look in his eyes. Like, I don't know, he might have a partner. I leaned toward him and looked him deep in the eyes. I hoped he'd see how important it was to me, but then he just blanched and jerked back here. But how are you, Nina? I'm good. I was a little bit in my feelings this morning. We like honesty around here. But not like burnt out feelings, more of just sad feelings. But I'm like, it's October. It's a sad month. So we try to do happy things to make up for it, you know? But I'm all good now, so I did like a little dress up. Because sometimes you just gotta make your outside nice to make your inside feel nice. Tell me what you found, I asked, not giving up. The game tracks your decisions on how Maya approaches problems. They will accumulate and gradually reveal what kind of a person she is deep in her heart. The story changes to reflect her personality. Fudge. Yeah. That's not gonna be a fun time. But we're here for you, Tony. We got you. Well, he brushed his forehead with the back of his hand. I did ask. I started with the old people here. I told them that my friend from the States was looking for her roots and wanted to know more about the place her family came from. You know the drill. At first, people were very, receptive. I waited for the other shoe to drop. And then I mentioned your name. He shook his head. Need a moment to calm down. Calm. We walked in silence for a long time. Finally, I nodded, and he continued his story. One of the old men here told me to go to hell. The other spat on the ground, and his wife crossed herself. Oh. For a moment, he looked younger and smaller. And then my own grandmother told me to stop asking. She said something else as well. What? I asked. She told me to pray for you. Suddenly, the sweet golden afternoon wasn't so sweet and golden anymore. This piqued my interest. Who was I? I felt... That's... Go on. I knew there was something weird and twisted connecting me and my family to the forest. I could feel a shiver run down my spine. We walked in silence, but my mind was in overdrive. People didn't want to talk. And that could only mean one thing. I was on track. People were scared of my family condition, healthy. My pulse quickened and I tensed up like a hound that smelled blood. I was on the right track. Every time you learn or do something significant that brings you closer, you gain power. Yeah, I have willpower once again. Bed and breakfast. Try to say it right. Buy a WoW visa. I had a few hotels and hostels, but the preferred form of accommodation was bed and breakfasts. That's where you stay. Ooh, we'll see. Today's Wednesday. If I'm not mistaken, we have a dog sitting gig this weekend, so I won't see y'all till Monday. I found one that was nice, clean, and that had good reviews. We had a room on the second floor with a huge window and a great view of the forest. Anya was there, already unpacking and chilling in the summer sun. I dropped off my stuff and freshened up a bit. Bartek said a few hasty goodbyes and disappeared, and Anya was nowhere to be seen either. The day was hot and I was restless. I decided to head out. I know, it's sad. But, if everything goes according to plan, we might be able to finish spooky Steam games, unless somebody buys more. We might be able to do Hand. Have a nice death, and possibly To the Rescue. Like, stream it. So they should be fixed by now. Well, Hand is now no longer in early access. To the Rescue definitely should be fixed by now. Before you go, check out your character sheet. Look for in the upper right corner of the screen. You can find a load of useful info about Maya, her background, personality, goals, and so on in there. You can also check who your friends and who your enemies are. Oh my god, I'm kind of late. Right, Wholesome Tober. Well, it's gonna be the end, because it's pretty much like spooky games. And then, like, I think the last 2 days, I think I have 1 day set for Hand and 1 day set for To the Rescue. And then November, either we'll finish the games in November, and then we'll hop back onto the spookies with Epic, GOG, and Xbox PC Pass, because I still have more spooky games, but at least Steam-wise, done. I'm about to be done. Alright, I'm 24. I'm not that brave. I'm very inspiring, a little analytical, very spiritual. I have no cunning. Goal, mystery. Relations, she's sympathetic, Bartek's cautious, my family's complicated. Perfect. But I had other goals in mind. I asked Anya to go with me. I sneaked out, leaving sightseeing to Anya. Yeah, I'm gonna sneak out. Bye, Anya. Go find some werewolf stuff. I had a clear goal in mind. My family was entangled with this town in the forest. I had to uncover my roots. To the forest, baby. You've been dreaming about it. Hello? You followed your dreams. It was dark in the woods. Dark, humid, and chilly. The leaves didn't let through a lot of the sunlight. Daniel looked at me over his shoulder. How do you like her? Who the fudge is Daniel? We'd met maybe 20 minutes earlier. Bartek had told me Daniel was the best person to go to if I wanted to see the forest. So I found him, and now here we were. I wasn't sure whom he meant. He was a strange one. How do you like her? He's not that strange. I don't know. Do you mean the forest? I asked. Polish was a strange language that gave the most unexpected genders to objects and ideas. I mean, Pazuska. He gestured around us. The wood. The word sounded like the wind rustling the leaves. Pushcha. Pushcha is the right word, not forest. Forests are like fields of orchards, cultivated, he spat as he said. And Pushcha, she is older than even the concept of fields. He was using the word as though it was a name. I looked at the Pushcha. Looked around with fresh eyes. Spiritual. I felt as though I'd entered the ancient tomb. Gigantic dead trunks were decomposing slowly around me, young plants and colorful mushrooms sprouting from them. The trees that still lived stretched toward the sky like columns holding up the vaulted canopy, which blocked out all but a few rays of sunlight. There was stillness, and there was movement, darkness, and light. If spirits existed, that place would be swarming with them. I loved it! I love it. I love forests, or puchas. Let's see, there should be more places like this, I said earnestly, or more of this place. Daniel lifted his head and looked me right in the eyes. Yes, you're right, he said with a serious expression. He was a strange guy. Slender, but muscular. Not the CrossFit type. It was more the kind of strength you get from working all day long in the open. His skin was weather-beaten and bronzed by the sun, like tanned leather, and he moved in a very deliberate way. But his fingers were slim and delicate, and his eyes were the strangest shade of yellow-green. Then I remembered why I was there. Yeah, focus, Nina. Also, an ad's about to show up in less than a minute. Perhaps he knew my family. I was cautious when yeah. We know the town doesn't like our family, so let's ease into this so he doesn't just abandon me in the pushcha. You look like you know all the local legends and folk tales, I said. I didn't elaborate why I was interested in the topic. Daniel stopped abruptly and turned to me, watching me for a while. His nostrils flared as though he was testing the air. Oh, like, I don't share them with strangers, he said, and then hesitated. But for some reason, Pusha doesn't think you're a stranger. Come on, he started walking. I know exactly what you need to see. All right. Goal. So I was right. There was something hidden in my family's past, and it seemed to have a lot to do with the forest. With every step, I was getting closer to solving the mystery. So I followed him. This mysterious man that I just met. We have to choose a path, he said. There's an old wolf den, or I could show you the barrows first. Or a clearing that some folks call a place of power. Magic, tourist trap, old stories, families divided, ancient graves, buried secrets. Let's go to the wolf's den. Take me to the wolf's den, Daniel. We started walking, but after a few steps, he stopped abruptly like he remembered something. Then he turned to me. Could you do me a favor, please? He asked. Sure. Yeah, man, sure. What do you need? I smiled. He ran his hand through the moss on a dead tree trunk, smelled his fingers, then reached into his pocket. He took out a small stone. So, moss, pocket. Okay. Tony, you know stuff. What does moss do? What properties does moss have? An amulet? Maybe? Ooh, spiritual. A personal amulet of his? Maybe? I felt my hair stand on end and my nostrils widen for some reason. The smell of the forest grew stronger. I would like you to take this stone. He held out his open hand toward me. And throw it the direction you think we should go. Do it. Do what he asked. Trust the man who knows the putzja. Okay, I said, reaching for the stone. I took the stone and closed my hand around it. It was just a stone. I was curious. It was alive. Like Pocahontas. Is there? Every rock has a name. It was warm and I could feel it pulsating. I closed my eyes and thought about the wolf den, trying to imagine that place. I smelled fur. I felt warmth. I was safe. Give me the stone. Shaw. Felt my hand rising entirely on its own and then throwing the stone as far as I could. When I opened my eyes, Daniel was picking it up off the ground. Okay, let's go. Depends on the type of moss. Well, this is Polish moss on a dead tree. What was the purpose of this? What happened exactly? Okay. Okay. The Pucha is sympathetic. You were accepted by the Pucha. He gave me a faint smile before he turned to head deeper into the forest. Sometimes the best way to work with magic is to not look too into it. Then you lose the wonder. The first thing I noticed when we stopped was a pine tree. Pine tree? New. It's a wolf's head. I just realized. Sorry. I was like, whoa. I remembered it. Small, twisted, and crooked, growing on the side of the hill. Fighting for light and balance, robbed of level ground, it had to make do to adapt. Months before that, when I decided to come to Poland, I dreamed of that tree. I was sure of it. Just like I was sure that under its roots I'd find a burrow, and a few feet away another one, like two dark eyes gazing at me as I approached. Daniel passed me and approached the tree. He pressed his cheek against the trunk. "Hello," he said quietly. Was there someone else there? "Hello again." "Hello again," I said quietly. Daniel looked at me with surprise, but didn't comment. "This is the den," announced Daniel. "It's abandoned, of course, but still worth seeing." Why was it? "What happened?" I asked. "Humans happened." Most mosses are used for ritual and potion work. Okay. Well, he smelt the moss, and then he took a rock out of his pocket, which I'm assuming with the same moss hand, and had me do the little claw thing. I'm guessing it's a way to, like, ask for entrance into the Putzstra? Because I know back home we have kind of a ritual that we do with the Tautomonas. You know, like we ask permission to enter the jungle, otherwise you get fucked up. He sat under the tree, leaning his back against it. It was a hot spring morning when they found this den. No one knows who the men were, even though it was only one human generation ago. There were 6 cubs here under the roots of this tree. He stopped stuttering and seemed to enjoy telling the story. I enjoyed listening. And I enjoyed listening to it. There was something calming in his voice and the way he talked. His slow gestures and wistful eyes made me feel as though I was with the cubs on that hot spring morning. I don't think they wanted to hurt the wolves. They probably thought they'd been abandoned. That's why they took the cubs with them. Humans have this instinct that makes you try to befriend everything, especially if it's dangerous. I didn't disagree. When you put it that way, I answered, unsure. I'm not saying it always works out, but the intention is good, and I believe the men who kidnapped the wolves wanted to do something kind, continued. Anyway, they took them. Out of the 6, 2 lived to see the cold summer that year. The wolf mother used to come to the farm they were at and howl. People went gray if they heard her. And suddenly, I heard that howl. I knew exactly how it sounded, and I felt despair and longing gnawing at my soul. I remembered how the cubs had reacted. They howled in response, they snarled, they whimpered for their mother to leave. Howl in response. Inspiring. Every time she came, we howled back through the closed door, letting her know we were still alive, that there was hope, that we would grow up to be strong. I realized that Daniel was silent. I met his gaze. "Do you feel all right? Are you sad? Don't be. It's not all sad." It was nothing. I liked how he told the story. I felt for the cubs. I felt for the babies. I just feel for the cubs. I know a little about divided families myself. Oh. Yeah, that usually ended the conversation. Daniel sighed, looking at the tree and the burrow. The cubs that survived were sold to some people in... Nafka. But after a while, both of them ended up back in Białowieża with the scientists. They have a station in the national park. One of the wolves, Kazan, was a celebrity of sorts. If you saw any wolf photos from here, they were probably of Kazan. He was even on postcards. It was a great story. They shouldn't move the cubs. I kept thinking about the mother. Yeah, I shouldn't have moved the cubs. Daniel's neutral. The men should have left the cubs where they belonged, I said, exasperated. Why did they interfere? They wanted to be kind, Daniel repeated. You can't condemn kindness. There was a slight gust of wind and the tree creaked. I remember that sound from my dreams as well, a sound that made me feel safe. How often had he shared that story? I looked at the empty den. Look at it. Will the wolves come back here? I looked at the empty den. Daniel frowned. No, they won't. This place is cursed for them. He fell silent. He looked at the burrows for a long time. This place is my friend, so I try to keep it important and respected. I think it's my mission, you know? I could relate to that. Sure. I think I understand. Every family had a story worth remembering. Daniel looked at the tree one last time. Goodbye, he said. I also said my goodbyes. Goodbye, I repeated, and we left. All right. The forest was alive around us, vigilant but not alarmed by our presence. The Putzstra's loyal? I kept thinking about the stolen cubs. Let's go to the graves. The trail soon disappeared. Sometimes we walked along a barely visible path made by some animals. Sometimes we followed a stream or a gully. But for most of our trek, we walked through the dense undergrowth. Daniel looked like he knew the way, but I kept second-guessing him. I looked at the moss growing on trees, but it was growing everywhere. The sun was barely noticeable through the dense canopy, and it was on my left-hand side, which might have meant we were heading north. But it was a pleasant walk. Pushka's loyal. It was a pleasant walk. There was always a path through the brambles. The ground was even, and the branches stayed out of our way. I almost felt like the Force wanted us to find the way. Daniel was a mystery I decided to solve. I watched the efficient and deliberate way Daniel moved, and I tried to guess his background. Why had he become a guide? I asked a few obvious questions. I tried to guess his background. Obvious questions. Get to it. Where are you from? I asked the obvious question. From around here. He made a vague gesture. Are you a professional guide? That's what I do for a living. He wasn't very talkative. I tried to guess. I dropped it. Then it hit me. I have willpower. Then it hit me. Suddenly, it all came together, and I realized what was so unusual about him. The way he moved. It was so natural, so effortless. No one who'd spent their childhood sitting all day at school or in front of a screen could move that way. Who are you, Daniel? I asked, bewildered. Were you raised by wolves or what? He looked me straight in the eyes, his irises a mesmerizing yellow-green. Yes, I was, he said with a poker face. Then he winked. We'd been walking for a while when I noticed Daniel's steps had become slower. He was also looking around more often and hunched slightly. If we're lost, I just enjoyed the moment. Was it the burns? Like, I want to keep a balance range. Are we there yet? I asked. He froze for a second as though he'd forgotten that I was there. They're tricky to find sometimes, he mumbled. Be quiet for a minute, please. That was when I felt it. Ash in my mouth. The smell of smoke and wet soil. And a pull. I knew where to go. I think I know where to go, I said, surprised. He tilted his head. Okay, let's check it out. I pointed to the barely visible path to my left under a dying tree. He followed me, and I followed my feet, knowing exactly where they should go. Under the crooked tree, past the dead tree trunk and the sponge-like mushrooms, across the patch of wet, dark green moss, all the way to a place that didn't look much different than other parts of the forest until you noticed the mounds. There was something about the flattened hills that drew my full attention. They must have been bigger. I could remember. I felt dizzy. I could remember. A memory stirred in my mind. No, it wasn't a memory. It was a feeling anchored in my chest, akin to the taste of ash in my mouth and the smell of smoke. Longing, sadness, resignation. But there was more. A sense of sacredness. Sacred? Yeah. It filled me with a calm excitement, and when I closed my eyes, I saw a fire burning in the darkness. Voices. Ooh, spiritual. The village was long gone. Its houses burned to the ground, its people slaughtered, but the spirits were still there. They accumulated over time, some in ancient Roman armor, some in rags, some in animal skins, some in uniforms from the World Wars, some in modern camo. Are we dead? Where are we? They asked me with frantic whispers. Is this hell? They were only echoes. It was paradise. I don't think it's paradise if they're asking if they're in hell. But they weren't real, just echoes of the past. The spirits in the trees were real. When I opened my eyes, Daniel was watching me. You were somewhere else. You said you had family here? No. I heard that my father's family came from here. I don't know much about them, though, he sighed. I don't think you should be here, he said. You're not ready. I didn't feel ready. He knew something. What do you know, Daniel? Why? What do you know? I wasn't letting it go. About you, not much, but I know the Pushka. The past is close here. His eyes were worried as he looked at me. And if the Pushka calls to you, it's wise to listen, but it's not wise to get lost in the voices. Come. Ooh. So listen to the Pushka, but don't listen to the Pushka. On the way back, I was lost in my thoughts. The voices in the vision knew what I had to do. It's almost as though it was expected of me. Was this what my family did here? I discarded that thought. No. Think about it. Head towards your goal. Why had Daniel asked about my family? Was the vision showing me what my ancestors had done here? I accepted that thought. Visions showed blood and fire in my family's past. I smiled. A bigger picture was finally starting to come to light. Magic was in my blood. The walk back was uneventful. And now, I felt a little tired. The shadows of the enormous trees cooled the sweat on my skin. The taste of ash lingered in my mouth as I head to the magic place. You attracted the energies of the forest. It started with the hair on the backs of my hands rising. The air around me seemed brighter, lighter. The leaves and the trees' trunks turned yellow and my skin started to prickle. I realized that I couldn't hear anything except for a low buzzing that was filling my ears. I tripped and lost balance for a second, and when I caught myself, everything around me was swaying, dissolving into the buzzing. I had to do something. Snap out of it. I screamed. I willed it to stop. I tried to clear my mind. I see another wolf in there. Awesome. I'm gonna clear my mind. I closed my eyes and tried to focus. This weird sensation was coming from within, after all. I just needed to find its source. But I wasn't the source, I realized. I was only resonating. The source was somewhere else. I opened my eyes, and when I did, I was looking straight at a clearing. I could see the silhouette of a person between the trees. They were moving slowly, deliberately, and the moment I noticed them, I felt the buzzing slow down. You're a wizard, Larry!
I'm a wizard. Hi, Larrington.
Ooh, what's happening? Clearing was a plateau between huge boulders. There were double-trunked trees between the rocks and an angular wooden construction that stuck out of the ground like a sore thumb. There was a bike lane on it. But more importantly, there was a man, and he was moving in the most beautiful, harmonious way I'd ever seen. It was hypnotizing. I'm thirsty. I looked at him for a moment, at the way his muscles danced under his tanned skin. God. Trying to trace his movements. Before every grand gesture, every stretch, and every push, there was a micro-movement, an impulse from his core, but I could feel it was even deeper. The energy that had been filling me earlier took form. It was flowing in rhythm with his steps, with the flow of his hands. The words came out of my mouth seemingly without my knowing. What did he do? What was wrong with this place? What did he do? Is he channeling the energy? Well, how? What did you do? He smiled. It's a little bit complicated. He stretched his hand toward me. I'm Cornell, he said with a hard German accent. Shouldn't you be on the logging site? Daniel asked him after I introduced myself. I needed to center myself, he answered. The others are still there, don't worry. They were cutting down trees in the forest? Center himself here. Trees? Wait, logging? Here? I couldn't believe my ears. He smiled bitterly. Yes, logging here. That's why I needed to calm down. This place is special, Daniel said. Some people call it a place of power, as I told you. And they have a good reason to, Cornell added. Look around you. So I looked. It was a clearing filled with light. I could see Cornell's traces, a beautiful pattern on the ground, but there was one thing that caught my attention more than anything else. Towers spoiled the serenity of the scene. The boulders around us were strange. Fruit trees? Oh, boulders. I want to keep my rage balanced. These rocks. Someone brought them here, right? I asked, looking at the boulders, which upon closer inspection formed a circle. The stones were irregular and nestled deep in the ground. People believe this was a place of worship thousands of years ago. Hence the fruit trees, the stone circle, and now the tower. And indeed, there's a lot of energy in this place. You felt it, didn't you? Why would I lie? Cornell, we're neutral. Yeah, I felt it, I said without enthusiasm. Pushka is wounded and in pain, and it calls out in rage to anyone who can hear it. Here, this call is louder. You see, the logging, his eyes darkened, is slaughter. He looked at the trees for a moment. Every priceless thing can be destroyed by greed. Logging is illegal, of course, but illegal is sometimes just a way of saying a bit more expensive but still profitable, especially for huge corporations. The forest is hurt, the wound is getting bigger, as is its desperation. Does anyone know about it? It was wrong. What did the forest want me to do? Cornell's sympathetic. I'm hella spiritual. I'm about to become a person here. I frowned. I need more time to figure this all out, I murmured. I was sensitive to what was happening here, so maybe I should use that and pay attention. Maybe the answer was hidden somewhere in the forest. Cornell regarded me for a moment with a faint smile. You have a connection with this forest, don't you? You should come to the logging site and meet everyone. I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea. Unless I can destroy the machines that are doing the logging. Maybe he could help with the... Yeah, maybe he could help with the dreams. He's friendly now. I looked him over for a moment. Hey, did any of you maybe have strange dreams about the forest before you got here? He looked at me, a look of concern in his eyes. As I said, you seem to be connected with the forest and very sensitive to the things that are happening here. Pay attention to your dreams, especially tonight. This place is known to communicate in that way. He jumped suddenly and looked at the wooden tower and the bike I noticed earlier. The Schwabe is getting restless, he said, and as Daniel pointed out, I should be on the logging site setting up the protest. Schwabe. What is a Schwabe? I asked, confused. He named his bike Swallow. Daniel explained. He loves it very much. Cornell grinned. Oh, I do. Nice meeting you, Maya. All I wanted to do was get out of there. The moment he disappeared, the buzzing came back. It wasn't as strong as before, but it was there. All I wanted to do was get out of there. Goodbye. We went on through the greenery. The buzzing in my ears slowly decreased. We made our way back to town. B&B was quaint. Anya was sitting on her bed drinking tea. So, what did you see? She asked. Oh, I went to the forest, of course, I said. I mean, it's the most important thing here, isn't it? I made a quick mental inventory of everything that had happened that day. They were cutting down the forest, place of power. Daniel was strange. I was moved. I was freaked out. They're cutting down the forest. I can't believe they're logging here. I shook my head. Isn't the forest on a UNESCO list or something? Yeah, I know. There's an international protest going on, Anya said excitedly. I was there all day. You can come with me tomorrow if you want. It's like a checklist. I went to this place of power and I felt a strange energy there, and there was the guy who really understood what I was going through. Ooh, she looked excited. Mysterious energies in an ancient forest, so very magical. She laughed. Daniel's a strange guy. There's something strange about the forest guide. I tried to put my finger on it. He acted like he learned how to be a human from a book he didn't understand. Hey, I think I heard about him today. Daniel, right? It seems like he's the best guide out there. Just gonna lay it all out there for her. I was told a story about the wolf cubs that were kidnapped and died in captivity, I signed. It stayed with me, you know? It's awful what we do to animals. She nodded. Something strange happened when I was visiting the old barrows, I said, and instantly regretted it. Never mind, I was probably just dehydrated. The heat, right? It's awful, she shuddered. And then that's it. No more chit-chatting. You know what? I'm seriously tired. Let's call it a day, shall we? Soon we were both in our beds, ready to sleep. I lay in my bed for some time, trying to make some sense out of everything that I learned and experienced that day. The gibbous moon was shining through the window. A gentle wind was blowing. When I closed my eyes, I could see the weird vision I had that day. My roots were here. I could feel them, almost touch them, and they were reaching for me. I felt I was closer to my answers. I should go and see the logging protest. Ooh. I felt the answers I was looking for were within my reach. I should go see the logging protest, find Cornell, and make him talk. After a long while, all these thoughts became blurry. They slowly started to turn to pictures, sounds, and colors. I drifted. In a big city, old men sit in leather chairs, lazily enjoying their ever-growing wealth. They watch Wow Pizza. On flickering screens, they watch me. My senses are heightened. I see the moon cutting the sky in half. I am a weapon. I am a seed. I'm a cub. I'm a wolf cub. Like the ones my grandfather told me about. I will grow and my fangs will become sharper. I will taste blood. Oh god, there's people on trees. I feel a pull and I surrender to it. I run toward a clearing. There are piles of fresh corpses of people who died too young, skinned and mutilated. Their loved ones stand around them, grieving, unable to do anything, waiting. And suddenly they're just trees and tree trunks. I howl, I look around, I weep. I'm gonna look around. I look around, my nostrils flare. Who did it? Who murdered the trees? There's a stench in the air like meat rotting in acid. It's something worse. I see the monstrous army. Their mandibles are whirling chainsaws. Their long metal arms are wrapped with black pipes that look like glistening intestines. Their smell is vile. They wait, unmoving. I charge at them. I turn to the forest for answers. I pay my respects to the dead. Ooh. Forest, what do you want me to do? The dead don't hold answers and neither do the machines. I walk between the trees, trying to hear their wisdom. They whisper to me, tell me to look at the sky. There, between the stars, two shapes circle each other. An old, sad wolf with gray hair and a white weasel. They keep their eyes on one another as they continue their dance, suspicious, but not hostile. We need to fight the enemy. The awful, rotting stench. I know that much. But how can we do that when we don't trust each other? They stop. They look at me and the clearing. About to, like, unite the forest. I look at them cautious. I give them my blessing. My blessing. I spill my blood and bless them with words that I do not recognize, but that I understand. They come down to me, and their voice is the voice of the Puchka. Welcome back. You've been away for too long a time. I wake up. Oh god. What have I done? There, it's closed now. I was like, that's probably how we got scorpions the first time. The day after! The next morning was full of sunshine and birdsong. I could smell the heat of the afternoon building, those long, honey-like hours in late June, and the earth isn't tired of its own warmth yet, but it was crisp and pleasant now. Wakey. I sat on my bed for a moment, letting my feet dangle from it. I wasn't sure how I felt. The weight of the previous day had coiled up somewhere in my chest, and it felt like a tiny merry-go-round gaining speed. Then I remember the dream, the clearing, the animals in the night sky, waiting for me. I took a shower, ate something, without really paying attention, and went out. Anya joined me. Indicates a change in Maya's current stats. Shows more detail. What do you mean? More inspiring, more analytical, way more spiritual. We're scared of my family, showing something that my ancestors did. The forest recognized me because it used to know my family for a long time. What was the connection? People protesting clearly know something about my family. So Daniel's neutral, Bartek's cautious, Cornell's friendly, and Puchka's loyal. Who's dead? We were halfway through the forest when I realized we were walking toward the logging site. Let's go! Close the door. I was running all the options over and over in my head, and I didn't really care where I was going. When I looked up, the sun was shining, the village was far behind me, and I was at the logging site. I told you the protest had gained some traction, said Anya, so what do you want to do? Stop the logging, I need to learn about my family, I need to find something. Stop the logging. The tree, the forest is like, yeah. We have to stop the logging. Look around. I looked around. On my right was the ancient forest, on my left was the freshly torn clearing. Ahead of me, ruining the view, were huge logging machines and a group of people arguing in their shadow. I thought the machines were sucking the life out of the air. They were a wound, not just pieces of equipment. Let's look at the machines. See how we can stop them. I'd never seen a harvester before, and I was shocked by the vile ugliness of the machine. There were 3 at the site. Their long metal arms were wrapped with black pipes that looked like glistening intestines, or weird hanging sperm sacs. And they reeked. What? The stench was dark, rancid, and putrid, yet none of the people there seemed to smell it. Not the reporters, not the police, not the loggers, nor the protesters. I couldn't understand. The clearing was full of that smell. Sacks. I noticed Daniel. He stood near a group of arguing protesters, but as I cast my eyes on him, he went to one of the harvesters, turned his back on other people there, and started peeing on the machine. Protesters were clearly conflicted. I wanted to know what it was all about. Maybe I could solve the conflict. They clearly needed some advice. Maybe I could solve it. I doubt it, but let's, I thrived in solving conflicts, so I went closer. One of the police officers, young and nervous, said something I didn't fully understand. I'm gonna let Anya handle it. Anya, go! Police, sympathetic. Anya flashed her best smile and flooded him with Norwegian. He smiled back, oh, you're one of them, and then let us go. And I noticed that someone joined us. Someone used the commotion to sneak with us past the police, a girl with disheveled, bleached-out hair. Don't worry, she patted the officer on the arm. It was an awful pickup line anyway. He recoiled. You shouldn't touch me, ma'am! Smile. Pat? Sympathetic? Pat. I smiled at her and wanted to say something, but I was interrupted. Pat! Cornell called her from the gathering. Could you come here? I need you to show Olga that chart. She sighed, reaching to her backpack and taking out a tablet. And they're at it again. She murmured under her breath and winked at me. Coming! Moving toward the activists. As I walked towards Daniel, I heard more and more of the argument. Olga, you can't, Cornell was saying. Pat stood next to him with her tablet. She looked a bit amused. Do not tell me what I can and can't do, Cornell, the woman with dreadlocks interrupted. I can because they are destroying our mother. I can fight with all the means at my disposal, even if that means burning those harvesters to the ground. Burn the harvesters? Cornell asked calmly. In this drought? Olga, are you out of your mind? You know what I mean. We fight them any way we can because this is a war. She spat. He signed. You've never seen real war and it shows. Nobody's shooting at us, and believe me, we want it to stay that way. We need a peaceful protest. Hey, can we talk? I asked, approaching Daniel. He smiled, sipping his pants. Wait, was he still talking to her while he was peeing? Oh, hi, Maya. I think our leaders are arguing now, and it has to be settled. It's good you came, actually. We need to tell Cornell that he's wrong. Oh, so I was to take a stand. I looked at them both. Olga with her fury and passion, Cornell with his cool professional demeanor, and shared, without any reservations, what I felt about the situation. Peaceful wasn't flashy. It wasn't about personal victory. There was a fine... Olga's cautious, Cornell's loyal, Daniel's cautious. Oh no! There's a fine line to trend, I said in the silence. You don't want the protesters to be painted as terrorists, and you don't want them to be treated as irrelevant and ignored. I only inflamed the situation. The argument attracted more and more people. Someone old shook their head and moved forward. They had deep wrinkles, a narrow mouth, and the unisex grace of a tired, heroin-preserved rockman. What? Unisex grace of a tired, heroin-preserved rockman. I totally dug their style. They looked out of place. I dig it. I dig it, bro. They had shoulder-length disheveled hair, a clean shave, and eyes highlighted with eyeliner. Bright blue nails, heavy army boots, a red skirt, and a tank top completed the look. And pins. Lots of pins. All kinds of LGBTQA+ flags, anarchist, pacifist symbols, and I think some German band stripes. Olga, darling, you know I love you, but Cornell really knows what he's doing. Please trust me on that one. They talked to Olga, but kept glancing at me as if to check how I reacted. F off, Kim! You didn't even trust me enough to come here on your own when I asked you to. There's a woman at Olga's side. Next to Olga, there stood a woman, and she was the most beautiful person I'd ever seen. Couldn't tear my eyes off. I couldn't help but overhear. Lisa, cautious. Kim, you want to teach me about violence? She looked them straight in the eye. About fighting oppression just because your boss went to what? One mission in Afghanistan? Her Polish was peculiar, kind of mellow. Cornell winced. Lisa, leave Kim alone. He didn't know what to say, and it seemed that the whole discussion would be derailed. Let's not derail this. Didn't let it happen. Hey, guys, the forest, the logging, the protests. Olga unclenched her fist. Cornell looked back at me and chuckled softly. You almost punched me. The conversation was over, at least for the time being. Cornell, together with his cronies, walked toward the reporters while Olga went back to the group of people standing in the shadow of the old oak tree. I looked to the forest. Puchka's loyal. The clearing full of fall trees was like a gaping, bleeding wound in the chest of a friend. My resolve strengthened. Goal, stop the logging. I came here to stop the logging, and after seeing what I'd seen, my resolve only strengthened. Yes, just like Olga said. Anya nodded, excited. What are they doing? What they are doing is unforgivable, and we have to fight. Look at one group, I look at the other. The harvesters were dripping with black oil, and the forest stood tall, serene, and full of golden light. It looked like it could protect itself. And then I looked at the felled trees. Dead. Limp. Helpless. Okay, so I can go to the harvesters and try to stop it, make it worse. Or I can go with the protesters, with Cornell, and be a little more diplomatic. Ooh. Let's see. Cornell's loyal, but Olga's neutral. And right now, the police seem to be okay with me. So I'm thinking maybe I should be diplomatic before I make it worse. And they're like, tear it all down forever. Cornell owed me some explanations. Hey, wait for me, I shouted and ran after him. Hello, Maya. I see you haven't come alone. He reached out his hand. Told him about my dream. What was that about? With Olga? Dream. I paid attention to my dreams just like you said I should, and I dreamed about this. Gesture to felled trees. He leaned toward me and in a hushed voice said, you must tell me about it. His eyes were an uncanny shade of gray. Kind of a bad boy? Why were they arguing? I can't take her serious. She's just like, ooh. Why were you arguing? Bad boy? He acted like he knew he was sexy in that bad boy hipster military way. If you're into such types. I wasn't. Cornell looked me in the eyes. I know what you dreamed about. The forest is reaching out to you because for a long time your ancestors were its servants. And now you're the only one left to pay what they owed. Owed? Left unpaid debts to the forest. I looked at him skeptical, but he seemed to believe it. We have the same goal. He looked back at me. Will you help me? I had no time to answer. I heard a commotion and turned around. The reporters were coming our way, but their cameras were switched off and pointing at the ground. I saw an opportunity to shine. I had a bad feeling about this. Why weren't they filming? Funny, I thought. They should be taking photos of filming the protest, but I couldn't remember if they were when I arrived at the site. So, asked Cornell. There was a hint of impatience in his voice. The reporter shook his head and grimaced. Sorry, everyone, we can't do anything. We're not allowed to cover what's going on here. Suddenly, I understood. Then it hit me. The police weren't there to protect the protesters or the press. Yeah, it must be hard to do your job when the police is watching your every step, I said, and they nodded. There was a moment of tense silence. All came together. Suddenly, I understood the dream. That was the moment I was destined to intervene. The protest was too quiet. They needed inspiration. I just had to make the reporters understand we could still use the reporters. I don't know. That's the thing. I'm like, still use them. I looked at the protesters. I guess get angry? Get angry, you know? They're a ragtag bunch thrown together by circumstance, and I was well aware of their frustration and exasperation. I looked around, put my hands in my pockets, and wandered toward the journalists. They were such cowards, they just need a little nudge. The cops were scared. They just need a little nudge. Little nudge. I've always wanted to be a journalist, you know, I said to the nearest one. The fourth pillar of democracy and all that, but maybe things work differently here in Poland? He looked at me with tired eyes. I winked, he smiled. Unspectacular as it was, I managed to connect. I'm gonna act on it. Does it always look like this? I asked. I mean, is it an everyday situation that you can't report? No, answered one of them. He was tall, in his 30s. There were a few glances towards him, almost a flash of warning, but it was too late. So why weren't they filming? But then why were they here? Willpower, Nina! Willpower! Press neutral. Wait, so why are you here at all? I asked, and then it hit me. You were sent here to find some dirt on the activists to get something that would compromise the protests. They looked at one another, suddenly unsure of what to say. Then I heard shouts as Olga and her protesters clashed with the police, and the cameramen grabbed their gear and ran toward the action. Remember, we want the aggressive ones! Shouted one of the reporters. I could see the logo of the national TV station on his camera. Cornell is friendly. Fudge! Cornell swore and threw his thermal cup at the ground. It bounced, spilling hot coffee everywhere. Someone grabbed me by my shoulder. I turned around and saw Kim. This is when you exit the scene. They turned me around and gently but firmly pushed me away. We'll be in touch, they whispered. When I was on the road to the village and nobody could see me, I stopped and screamed. A startled flock of birds took off from the trees nearby and filled the air with feathers and movement. In the whole commotion, I lost Anya from my sight. I was alone. Or so I thought. Press is neutral? Hey, are you alright? A voice behind me said and I jumped. A woman was walking towards me. It was too much. Let's bring the rage down. Too much. All of that. We walked slowly toward the village. Why does it look like you got moon ears? I learned that she was an independent German reporter who'd come here about a month ago. Her name was Erica. So, why are you protesting the logging? She asked after a few minutes of small talk. Honestly, no idea. We had to save the Puchka for personal reasons. Save the Puchka. I think the Puchka is unique, and when I saw how many trees they cut in just one afternoon, it broke my heart. I said, still shaken by the sheer number of fallen trees. I have to do whatever I can to save the forest. I looked at her. Why are you asking? Do you know why they're cutting down the trees? She asked back. Because you do know that logging is done by a government company, the state forests? I didn't know that, I admitted. In fact, I knew very little. My rage. I know very little about the situation, I realize. Just what the others have told me. She reached for her notebook. It all started with the spruce bark beetles. Erica looked into her notes and started explaining the whole situation. That year, the beetles' infestation was of catastrophic proportions, and the foresters decided the only way to stop it and save the rest of the forest was to cut down as many infested trees as fast as possible. Was cutting it necessary? Was it legal? Couldn't they just remove the dead trees? The only way to stop the infestation? I asked, confused. The foresters state that this is the only way. She said, some biologists argue that they are cutting wrong trees and doing it too late to change anything. Ooh. Was it legal? But is logging legal? Opinions differ, but such massive logging in a UNESCO-listed area might be illegal, Erica answered. Just remove the dead trees. Maybe if they remove the dead trees, the infestation wouldn't spread? They might do that, but dead trees are what make the forest unique, Erica smiled. There are 20 times more species living on a dead spruce tree than on an alive one. Did they have to intervene at all? Couldn't they just leave the Puchka alone and let nature take its course? That's one of the options. But there's a drought and no one is sure if the forest would survive on its own. It was a complex situation, but that didn't mean that I should step back. I felt that Erica was deliberately playing the devil's advocate. I needed advice. I tried to understand her point of view. Bah, these are both bad options. I need advice. I'm not sure what to think about it, I admitted. I could really use your advice. I'm just doing my job. Erica shrugged. I describe all aspects of the situation to you, but it's up to you to decide what you want to do. Well, I guess everyone has their jobs. My job was to do something. At least I was sure that they were cutting down the trees and the Puchka needed my help. Alright, what happened to the wood? What else could I do? What happened to the wood? When they cut down the trees, what happens to the wood? State forests have to be financially self-sufficient. They earn money by selling forest products, including wood. That's why I think the bark beetle is not the reason, but an excuse to push more wood on the market. I concluded my case. She looked skeptical. You're not the only one feeling helpless, she sighed, so don't let the complexity of the situation stop you. Life is always complex, and yet we carry on. I didn't want to listen, so what was right and what was wrong? I said nothing. I said nothing. I always felt so angry when there was too much to process at once. And everything that happened at the logging site, the heat, the stench of the harvesters, the tension between Olga and Cornell, that you could cut with a knife, it almost sent me to some kind of frenzy. What's the matter, she asked. I shared my fear, told her about my anger. I admitted my helplessness. Let's go with that. I felt so helpless when I saw all that. I took a deep breath. Then I remembered what Cornell had said. Mystical stuff. And they say that I have some family debts to pay. It's a lot to take in, and there was that foul smell back there. She looked at me with a weird expression. What smell? She asked. The smell was not the point. How come she didn't smell it? You didn't smell it? The harvesters reeked of something like meat that's been rotting in acid, only worse. I couldn't even find the words to describe it, but the memory of the foulness still clung to the back of my throat, swimming in my sinuses. Okay, so neutral press. She looked at me with a strange expression on her face, as though she wanted to say something, and then thought better of it. You'll learn in your own time if you stay here long enough, she said, clearly wanting to drop the topic. No, what did you mean? What do you mean? I asked, getting irritated. I just told you, you'll learn in time. Or not at all, which would frankly be better. Anyway, gotta run. As I watched her leave, I thought that whatever was my family legacy had surely manifested itself that day. Yes, I made progress. I jumped right in the middle of a very tense situation and at the very least upset the status quo. I just hoped I hadn't made things worse. Decided to pay my family's debt? Wait, is that my new goal? Decided to pay my family debts and join the logging. Results yet to be seen. Okay. Anya came back soon after me. I lost sight of you, she said apologetically. I'm glad you made it back in one piece. So how was your day? She asked. I had a chat with the reporters. I learned a thing or two. I heard that you can't trust them. I never said I did. I winked. Learned a lot. Did you know that the government supported the logging even when it was illegal? I shared. Anya just nodded solemnly. Yeah, I've read about it. Why didn't you tell me? Well, you have a lot going on. She shrugged. A lot of new people. That's some very interesting people, I said, still excited. Yeah, they look like a colorful bunch. Anya grinned. Maybe you could introduce me later? They sure are passionate. They argue between themselves more than they argue with the loggers, I added. That's all I want to share. Another day. We sat for a while in silence. You know, there's more to see here than... Werewolf. Anya said from her travel guide. Oh god, we have all these places. There's something interesting in every village. An open-air museum, some kind of folk university, the bison. Maybe you'd like to see something more than the logging? I couldn't see everything. It would be great if I could see everything, but I can't. I want to focus on the logging, even if I'm missing something else. And how's the search for your roots going? Anya couldn't stay silent for long. I shared what I learned. It seems that my ancestors lived around the forest for a long time, and there are some kind of debts to be paid. Wow. Anya looked impressed. Honestly, I'm not sure what to think, but if you need something, just let me know. Tired. I just sat there, looking through the window. The day had been full on, and I was exhausted. Oh god, what's happening now? It's quiet now. Yet I know deep down inside that something isn't right. I keep walking. I'm walking through the forest to the logging site. It's getting dark. The light seeps away as though there are millions of tiny punch holes in the sky through which it can escape. And then the darkness starts to pour in. I welcome the darkness. I know what I'll see. Welcome the darkness. It's thick, oily, snake-like. It wraps around my ankles, caresses my wrists, then takes my hand and leads me to the site. It's full of maimed bodies. They are all trees, fallen trees, still alive, still struggling for air. And there's the stench. I see movement in the darkness, but I'm not alone. I'm not alone. The monsters are coming. They have long skeletal arms. They are wrapped in glistening black intestines, and each arm has a wide, gaping mandible full of whirring blades. They snap at me blindly, but I'm not alone. I feel righteous anger burning through me like molten lava bubbling from the ground, through my feet, up my legs, through my chest to my head. I point at the monsters. My friends watch, and I bask in their rage. I howl the sentence. I howl out the death sentence, and we run toward the monstrous shapes. We bite off heads, tear off arms. We are an executioner's axe, unflinching. And then I wake up. Goal, find out what's happening to you. I gasp and bolt upright. I was alone. The sun was setting, and in the deep red light, the room looked like it was bathed in blood. My pillow was on the ground, and the duvet was torn. Tiny feathers were spilling through the tear. What happened? Oh. The gasp. Chapter 3. There was no way I was going back to sleep. Since I'd arrived in this accursed village, things had been getting more and more peculiar with every passing hour. There's the test! Oh, there's There's your little test sound. The last dream freaked me out, and I need to find answers to all the questions buzzing in my head. I need to talk it over with someone trusted. Cornell? Anya? I'm gonna go with Cornell, because Anya doesn't know anything. Cornell does. Cornell knew a lot about the forest and spirituality, and he seemed to like me. The sun had just set, and the moon wasn't up yet. I started walking. The forest loomed on the horizon. The activist camp was somewhere there. I soon ran into Anya. Oh, Maya, good to see you. We need to talk. What's up? I'm worried about you. Since we got here, you've looked distressed, she explained with a sigh. I've asked around, and it seems you're associating with some dangerous people. They know things about my family, I answered, and I need that information. I could use some support. She could come with me if she wanted. Come if you want. I know you have your own things to do, I admitted, but if you want, you can come with me. Anya smiled. Sure, sister, and we walked together. Yep, test time. The camp had a different vibe than the logging site protest. There were more people there. We looked around, trying to take it all in. They are coming and coming, Anya laughed, excited. People in the camp seemed quite cheerful. Watch for a moment. I saw people at work. Some of them were filling big barrels with sand. Some were busy making what seemed to be posters. The rest were singing or cooking. Everyone was contributing in one way or another. I looked around. I definitely needed to talk to someone about what was going on, about what I felt. For now. You know stuff. You're the one who told me my family has debts. I'm assuming you know what kind. Hello, I said as I approached Cornell. Smiled at me. Hello, he said. What brings you here? I need answers. I shrugged and dug my hands deeper into the pockets of my jeans. I have so many questions about myself, the forest, and the logging. Cornell looked at me with those uncanny gray eyes. I could feel his attention lock on me. It's okay. Join us and you'll understand. We're here to stop what's happening. Show that we don't agree and that we hope to make a difference. Will it work? I asked. I don't know. All I know is that it worked before. It worked for Gandhi. It worked with segregation and apartheid in the end. It worked with communism, so let's see if it works with capitalism as well. Violence is not an option here. I kind of had a dream where I ate everybody. He smiled. And I think you know quite well that anger doesn't really get shit done. I smiled back. Somehow being around him made me feel more relaxed. I know you can count on me, I answered. I had a family debt to pay, and I couldn't be just an observer anymore. So we may have a little citizen protest going on tonight, but I'll need your support if we want to convince the others. Citizen protest? They all wanted to do something that night, but after a whole day's discussion, they were still divided on what to do. 3 for one option, 3 for the other. I had the vote. Cornell's plan, peaceful protest, or Olga's plan, violence. A part of me wants to do violence because we had that dream, right? And the forest apparently talks to us through dreams. I don't know. I feel like I should go to the forest, but I'm like, do I want sneaky sneaks and acid powerful enough to eat through expensive machine components? Blah. Right? I'm like, do we go to the forest? Because we had a dream about it where I let loose everybody and we fought the monsters and the machines. Because I'm like, if we're just in town peacefully protesting, like, what's that gonna do? Cornell's gonna be so mad at me. The forest is pissed. Let's go commit violence. You voted for the more aggressive plan. I voted for direct action, and soon we were on our way to the logging site. We had some harvesters to deface. Let's go, Anya! Come along! This is so exciting, Anya whispered. I've never done anything so illegal. We were just a group of dark silhouettes running through the night. The moon was hidden behind the clouds. I walked carefully. I was glad, of course. A clear sky would have offered better visibility, but shadows hiding us were almost as good. We soon reached the logging site. Somebody's gonna die. Stop the logging at any cost? Heard. We soon reached the logging site, and I knew we were only there because I voted for the direct action. I made a difference. Olga stood in the middle of the clearing. looking at the harvesters. Also, real quick, I'm a newcomer. Your group is huge. How did I suddenly get a vote? You know? Anyway, she had a backpack on her shoulder. When she moved, I heard a metallic clatter coming from inside it. Let's get going, she said. She looked different in the dark. She seemed more angular, broader. I couldn't wait. Yeah, let's smash something, I agreed. Olga reached into her backpack. She tossed something my way. It wasn't a hammer, but a can of spray paint, red. I grinned at her. Anya? Exchanged glances and nodded. We were ready. I glanced over my shoulder and saw Cornell staring at me. I hope you know what you're doing, he whispered. I challenged him. I asked him to elaborate. Burn it all down with witchfire! Ask him. He's sympathetic. All right. So what could we do better the next time? I asked him to elaborate. We could vote for a plan that has a chance to actually help the forest. Cornell rolled his eyes. Olga noticed the tension between us. People know that I'm right, she said, looking Cornell straight in the eye. You should have noticed that the first time you came here. Your plan will destroy lives, he answered. I asked him to stop. I took a step back. Yo, this is not the time. Please, we have work to do. The tension broke. Cornell shook his head and turned around. We sneaked on. Be careful and quiet, said Lisa. She also looked different. There was camo face paint on her broad cheekbones. Just the cheeks? There are some guards nearby. I'll take care of them. And with that, she left. Huh? The harvesters loomed in the night, now more than ever reminding me of some distorted, terrible creatures from a cheap horror movie. Their black cables glistened in the moonlight, and their stench clogged the air. I shook the can. Ooh, I'm gonna spray paint it. I shook the can and let go of the first blotch of paint. It landed on the side of the harvester. For a moment, I thought the machine shuddered, like I'd wounded it. Suddenly, I tensed up. It would see me. I shook the feeling off. I felt a wave of joy. I focused. I planned the work carefully. Everything was sharp in the moonlight. My hands seemed to shine when I sprayed the machine with the precision of a future surgeon. It wasn't personal. It wasn't about me or the men who would come here tomorrow to find their equipment harmed, mutilated. It was about the forest. I decided it'd be better to work alone. Cornell joined me. We talked. Just waiting for one of them to turn out to be the undercover cop. Right? They're just like, aha! You're all under arrest. I let Cornell join me, and together we wrote slogan after slogan across the wide flanks of the machines. Olga's walking a dangerous path, he whispered at some point. She's so focused on the act of fighting that she's slowly forgetting what she's fighting for. I wanted to say something, but he stopped me. Just watch her and see what she does next. Eventually, our work for the night was done. I wrote Save the Forest in every language I know, said Anya, evidently proud of herself. And I might have also translated a few more. I looked at the defaced harvesters. I was proud of us. I was proud of what we'd accomplished. Whatever the deal with my family was, I felt like I repaid some of the debt. The paint was slowly drying in the hot night air. Did we really just spray it? We stopped for just a minute to admire our work, and for that moment, everything was still and quiet. The air smelled of spray paint. The harvesters looked stupid and helpless, and then the stillness was broken. Hey, what are you? What the fudge? Oh! Whoop! Panicked Anya. The guards! I cracked my knuckles. I tried to calm her down. This wasn't a good moment to panic. Calm down, Anya! Shh! Whispered. They haven't seen us yet. Okay, I can gain rage or lose willpower and rage. It's not a good moment to panic. Took a deep breath. Focused on the rhythm of my heart. It wasn't a good moment to panic and act impulsively. The guards were coming. I saw the silhouettes between the trees, of course, but it wasn't them that caught my attention. It was the trees themselves. The trees had been calling to me since I got here. The trees were on our side. The trees could protect us. I should listen to reason. I let the forest speak through me. We needed to hide. Question. When you say the forest speak through me, are you gonna like talk to the tree and the tree's like, come here into my shadow, I got you? Or am I like, we need to hide? The forest talk through me. See what happens. I took a step towards the guards. Oh no. You shouldn't be here, I said, feeling the forest around me. I was more than Maya, I realized. For the men in front of me, I wasn't Maya at all. I was a dark shape between even darker shapes. I was the voice of the forest. Men like you walking in a place like this in the middle of the night? It's unwise. One of them laughed nervously. Is that a threat? You threatening us, girl? Olga laughed from behind my back. Oh, you have no idea how threatening we are. Try to emphasize. Olga, fuck. My rage is very low. I'm gonna look at her. I looked at Olga and she just smiled at me. In the half-light, her teeth looked crooked and pointy. A job is a job, said the one closest to me. A grim shape who pointed his flashlight right into my eyes. We're calling the police. Don't move. I thought about Anya and took a few steps back. We couldn't get involved with the police. This was serious. I told you not to move, he shouted. Or what? I asked. He paused, unsure, and in that instant, the phone flew out of his hand. I don't know how Kim got behind him, but they were there, chuckling mockingly. Oh, sorry, did you want to call someone? The man turned around and punched them right in the face. They didn't even flinch, and then they grabbed the man, lifted him up, and threw him at the other guards. Let's go, Kim. Let's go, Kim. I grinned and joined the fight. That was too much for me. I ran. I don't have any rage, so if I join the fight, I'm... Bye! I ran, the air in my lungs boiling, my skin slick with sweat, and the darkness thick around me. I was holding Anya's hand as we pushed blindly through the night. Something was chasing us. Hulk smash. We left the shouts and gunshots long behind us, but we couldn't stop. Something was chasing us, two silhouettes. One lean, the other bulky. I saw them in the corner of my eyes. They leaped forward. I'm sorry, gunshots? At first, I thought they were people, but as they leaped, they got longer. Longer, smaller. I couldn't see clearly. It was dark. Sweat was blinding me, and they were hiding behind the trees. I heard howling and growling, and then I saw there were wolves chasing us. Oh, fudge. I tried to run faster. I decided to face them. Yeah! Yeah, I can't outrun a wolf. I stopped in the middle of the path and turned to face the animals. I had no chance of outrunning them anyway. What are you doing? Whispered Anya, terrified. I ignored her. I looked at the wolves. They looked at me. To be fair, they won. Felt connected. And I just started talking. I felt strangely connected to them. Spiritual. I heard a rustle in the leaves, and then there was a voice in my head. My little Thurgy. I knew it was the Pushka, and that she was pleased with me. I also knew that Thurgy meant wisdom. We're the same, I realized with shock. You and I. The wolves dispersed, and then something happened. Something that I couldn't see clearly, and two people stepped out of the bushes. I knew both of them. Cornell? Wait, she has the right to know. Cornell grabbed Olga's arm. One of us is going to bite you. What? She said matter-of-factly, and then you will die, Cornell added. One way or another, it runs in your family. What? What? There was a series of wet cracks, like skin breaking, torn from within by muscles that suddenly grew, by bones rapidly getting longer, by fur and teeth and claws. When I dared to look, I saw two 8-foot-tall monsters standing in front of me on the narrow path in the forest. I knew it! Fuck. I got. Wait. What's happening? I like all these responses. Just I like this one. Just, fuck. I managed to whisper, and then there was only pain. The pain was unbearable. Nothing in my life had prepared me for this. Why? Why am I dying? I knew I was dying. I started laughing. Ha 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 ha. Oh, look, I'm a little bit cunning now. Way to get cunning at the end, Nina. Blinded by the blood in my eyes and the searing pain in my shoulder and chest, I could only laugh. This wasn't what I expected from this trip. You spend so much time planning, only to see your whole life crash and burn. All I could do was laugh. Surprise! Lycanthropy! But I knew how serious it was. So I laughed, gritting with bloody teeth until my strength left me and I couldn't hold myself upright anymore. The forest caught my fall with a bed of moss and twigs. I stopped thrashing and a cold numbness engulfed me. I'm gonna get up! Yeah! I punched the earth trying to get some feeling in my hands. I gritted my teeth and tried to get up. I collapsed again. I felt so cold. Suddenly, there was a light. I looked up. The full moon. It looked different. Awoo. Condition impaired. I'm so impaired. The moon was a goddess and she noticed me. Get up, she said. I got up. I get up. I feel good. I know that I shouldn't, but I don't remember why. I don't care. I stretch. I breathe. My mind is clear. My mind is clear. It's clearer than it's ever been before. I see the world in sharp contrasts of black and white, movement and stillness. I smell prey. I hear language and the hooting of owls, the whistling of the wind and the snarling of wolves. I am what I was born to be. And then I stretch. Nix, mommy. My muscles are sore and cramped, so I stretch like I've never stretched before. My arms are longer, my legs are stronger, my heart is pumping, and I feel like I've spent my whole life packed into a box, and finally I've been set free. And then I breathe. I take a breath and feel my ribs and muscles move. The forest smells of blood and fear and excitement. I'm happy. I laugh happily, and others' laughter joins me. We laugh and sing to the moon. Something touches my leg. Oh God. I look down. The creature is no threat to me, but its presence is annoying. Its smell almost sends me reeling, and I don't like being pricked. I rip its head off. I stick my hand in it. I push it away. Push it away. Push it away. I push the creature away, and it flies through the air making funny noises. Then it hits a tree and stays there, pinned to a branch like a butterfly. I didn't just kill Anya, did I? My ears prick and I hear more creatures running blindly through the bushes. I feel better. My leg no longer stings and I feel better than ever. Prey, hunt. Is this a dream? Do it. Get in the mode. I smell prey and I start hunting. They do not see me as I move silently through the undergrowth. The creatures are running away, their backs turned to me. I watch them and learn how they move. Suddenly, one of them turns my way. We lock glances. I'm just gonna look at you. I look at it, and the creature curls up, shielding its face with its paws. It keeps talking, but the noises make no sense. I shut it up. I move on. I'm trying to not murder everybody. I'm gonna move on. It annoys me, but I ignore it and move on. Piercing light burns my eyes. The creatures surround me. They seem to work like a pack. They are dangerous. Oh, is it the guards? I strike them all. I fight them all, one by one. I hide in the shadows and they are too slow, too dumb, too clueless to notice me. I strike them down, one by one. Some fight back. Some manage to defend themselves briefly, but most of them don't see me coming. A new smell. The wild brings a new smell. The air tastes of fur and musk and blood. Shapes move among the trees, but they are no creatures. They are people, like me. Suddenly, I'm surrounded by them. I think I know them. They seem familiar. It's like I met them in the past, but they were hidden. They close in on me. What do they want? I wait. I relax and wait for them, unflinching. They approach me and sniff the air. Their smells are overwhelmingly familiar. Once the people had sounds attached to them, but now I realize the sounds were not their true names. Zero. I look up and see no moon, only clouds and tangled branches. Something changes. Something changed, and I realized how tired I was. I stumbled. The night sky was full of stars. Confused, I opened my eyes. The forest around me was thick and dark. Tree trunks, wrapped tightly in dark-leaved ivy, were covered in ripples of lichen where the vines hadn't taken hold. I feel like I just read this already. The thorny, leafless bushes at their base were overgrown with nettles. The fungi radiated. I tried to breathe. Took a deep breath and winced. There was a foul smell in the air. And I realized it was me. There was a whisper. The word resonated. Daru. I knew what was coming. I remembered my dream and slowly lifted my eyes. There was a severed head right in front of me. I have no willpower. I gotta feel sick. The face was contorted, the eyes bulging, the mouth open, the tongue stuck out. It was obscene. I doubled over, retching. I recognized that face. Oh God, I recognize. Ah! I killed Anya! It was Anya, her braids covered with dried blood. The head watched me with reproach. Yell to Anya. I'm gonna scream. Anya! No! I let out a long, blood-curdling scream. The night swallowed it. Cornell's friendly. The bushes rustled, and a moment later, I saw Cornell coming out from between the trees. He looked at me, at the head, at my face. He came close and squatted beside me. This is what we were trying to tell you, his gray eyes smiled. See, you're a werewolf. I looked at him, I blinked. Maybe before you bit me, you could have been like, Anya, go home. Anya, go home. But no, you were like, no, bite her now. Let her murder her friend. Aww. Breed? Auspice? Rank? Tribe? Condition? Oh, am I a moon now? The morning smelled of fur, earth, and the forest. Over the gentle snoring that filled the warm space under the low-hanging branches of an old spruce tree, I heard a squirrel. I was hungry. I don't have much willpower, so... Stepping over the sleeping forms, I made my way outside. Alone, hiding in the tall grass, I sniffed around. The sky was bright, and the forest around me was dark and full of interesting smells. High in the trees, birds yelled about status, sex, and violence. All I can hear now is that bird sound clip from like TikTok where it's just like, burp, 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 like those two birds that are like, you know, arguing. All right, I was in danger. Memories started to come back. Something was wrong. Memories are coming back, bro. Something happened in my mind, and memories started flooding back. The run through the night, the bite, the strange dream about being a werewolf. A creature stirred in bushes nearby. A tall, dark silhouette. A strangely familiar smell. I'm gonna tense up, not run away. I tensed up and watched the human as they looked around. Maya, there you are, they said when they noticed me. It was time to get out of there. I spasmed. Suddenly, a feeling like a cramp or a spasm surged through me, and everything changed. I was Homid, the human form. My body started resetting itself to the familiar shape, and it hurt. Bones broke and fused again. Muscles and sinews moved under my skin. I cried and thrashed, and panting and sweaty, I was Homid, a guru of human ancestry, also the human form of the guru. I hit the ground with my bare ass. Colors exploded. The morning breeze suddenly became cold, and I shivered. Confused, I looked at the person approaching me. Cornell. You look cold. Smirked and threw me a bundle of clothes. You better not change for a while. They won't survive it. Not until you learn the right, at least. I'm mad at you guys. I snatched the bundle and start pulling the clothes on. Sneakers, loose-fitting jeans, a hoodie with a unicorn. They fit perfectly. Oh, I'm mad at them. I thought about the previous night when I was raging through the forest, about how differently I experienced the world through the wolf senses, and about the discomfort and confusion of changing shapes. So I was a werewolf. Master the change. There was no denying it. I was no longer human. Appreciate the help. Maybe monster. Wait, a right? Did you mention a right? I raised an eyebrow. You mean magic is real? You're a werewolf. Do you even need to ask? We just stood there for a moment in silence. I was wondering how one usually learned that they were a werewolf. But how come nobody knew? Just tell me your story, Cornell. So, how did you become a werewolf? I was born a werewolf, it seems, he answered. Oh, I mean, when did you, change? Oh, that. I was serving Afghanistan. There was an ambush. Stuff happened. Oh, it must have been hard, bro. I'm sorry. It must have been hard. It was. They sent me home with PTSD, and once home, I got found by others. They needed someone who knew how to fight. Why? We were the real eco-terrorists back then, my pack and I, but I realized that violence only breeds more violence, and it's not the way I want to follow. How come nobody knew about werewolves? I mean, kind of everyone knows about werewolves, but more of like, it's make-believe. Doesn't make any sense. It suddenly struck me. How come nobody knows werewolves exist? We protect the veil? A poetic term for the false assumption that supernatural does not exist, which the delirium reinforces. It's easy to convince humans that supernatural doesn't exist. They already want to believe that, and the delirium helps. Madness and memory loss suffered by humans who look upon a guru in Crinus form. So when I'm a moon. Interesting. You mean delirium as in medical condition? I asked, remembering something that I've read about acute confusional states. You'll have to ask Pat for that, but the gist of it is that humans are incapable of remembering that they saw a Krynos, which is the half-wolf, half-human. It's a werewolf. They panic, turn away, and instantly forget every time. The wolves had woken. At some point, the rest of the party had awoken and joined us. The clearing was full of wolves. But fight or flight! The wolves were closing in on me. I knew my next decision would have serious consequences. Daniel, escape, or accept and cooperate. Oh, denial, not Daniel. I'm a werewolf. The headless body was heavy. They said that, as my first kill, it was my burden. It was my duty to take it to the burrows. I didn't kill her. I got my shit together. I didn't want to do it. I didn't kill her. But I didn't do it, I said, looking at the corpse. I'd never. You have to balance the death you caused with your achievements. Cornell looked at me in the eyes. That is the path of the guru. He accompanied me, carrying the severed head in a bag. The others stayed behind, covering the tracks. I couldn't believe Anya was dead. She only wanted to help, you know, I said quietly. She was so worried about what's happening here, and it's hard, Cornell admitted, looking at me with sympathy. But we're at war. Death happens. The faster you learn to accept it and honor it, the better the soldier you'll be. She had nothing to do with this. Why did... Ooh, I hope I can turn against them and just kill them and be like, I will be the only one to protect the forest. Just me. But the body was too heavy. I just kept dragging her body. Let's do help. Kept dragging the body, but the burden was too much to bear. I was tired and hurt, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I looked at the body, and I really wanted to say something, but I choked on my words. I curled up into a ball with my arms around my head. I couldn't. I can't, I said, and then it was the only thing I could say, louder and louder, until it became a shriek. I can't, I can't, I can't. Cornell sighed and kneeled beside me. You're a werewolf. Gaia's soldier. Gaia. Okay, yeah. Mother Gaia. Earth, in both a physical and spiritual sense, the mother goddess. There's nothing you can't do. Get up. We have a world to save, and you have a legacy to fulfill and a debt to pay. Willpower. I took a deep breath. He was right. I was here for a reason, and I had things to do. I changed. Or suddenly I knew what to do. What do I need to do? Suddenly I understood. I realized I was in a state of flux. I could change shape the way I shifted my position when I ran, and there was so much beauty in it, in all the forms and possibilities, always fluctuating. If I only knew how to do this, and if I got just a little stronger, I'd easily handle the body. I changed it. Choose your form! Okay, so we have Lupos, Hispo, Krynos, and Glarbro. Strong enough to lift heavy things without breaking a sweat. Is a war form, a ruthless killing machine. There's nothing subtle about it. Monstrous wolf, smart, fast, heavy, absolutely scary. Wolf form, majestic animal with all its advantages and limitations. Looks great on camera. I'm gonna be a Glabro. Local police force. It's better to hide their being, and the vampires have partnerships with governments to govern their being, and the cleaners are a thing to cover up. Right, I was like, that makes sense. But I'm just like, why did we have to kill Anya? The pain was stronger than I ever imagined. I felt my muscles spasm as they rearranged themselves. My jaw cracked and my mouth filled with blood. I clenched my fists and claws drove in my palms. I screamed! When I rose, panting and sweaty, I was more than human. I was Glabro. Wolfish, strong, scary. It hurt, ow. Find your place among the row. The change hurt more than I expected. The world shifted. Not much, but enough. I felt my teeth get sharper and muscles stronger. I picked up the body. It was a lot lighter. At some point, I realized we weren't alone. There were two shapes in the bushes on either side of the road. Animals. One big and gray, the other small, nimble, and white. Ah, my companion smiled. I see you've noticed our patrons. Spirit joined to a pack or tribe and represent its inner nature. I remember them from my dream. Winter Weasel, Morning Wolf. Yeah, we know each other, I said, remembering my dream. We sort of met the other night. The two animals stopped in front of me in the middle of the path. We came here to teach the cub, said the wolf. She smelled of ash and tears. couldn't believe what I saw. It made no sense. I felt as if my brain was short-circuiting, trying to interpret signals not meant for human senses. Was it really a weasel? When I turned my eyes away from the weasel, it flickered, as if it was just a projection on a broken screen. One moment an animal, a moment later just an idea. When it talked, the air smelled of electric discharge, and I felt like the words displayed directly in my mind. But hallucinations or not, they just wouldn't leave me alone. The weasel circled me, and before I knew it, I could feel small claws on my leg, then on my back, then on my arm. It smelled of musk and electricity, and then it bit my ear. Do they always do that? I asked, ignoring the spirit. Speak to me when I'm biting you! The weasel's electronic voice echoed in my head. Enough, the wolf growled, or at least that was what my brain decided to hear. I felt the weasel transfer. In the beginning, there was Gaia, aka Mother Earth, and she gave birth to a mighty breed of warriors, the weasel began. It sounded electronic, like a teenager reading a Wikipedia page over a voice chat. They were called Guru. That's werewolves and werewolfish. Werewolf and werewolfish. And their sole purpose was to protect Gaia. They failed, wailed the wolf. Look at the weasel. Why did they fail? I looked at the weasel for advice. When time began, Gaia released 3 primal forces upon the earth. The weaver, manifestation symbol of order. The wild, okay, and the worm. Kay and Guru believe. The weasel continued. The wild was the untamed force of life and creation. The cold, ruthless weaver gave structure to the world. And the worm destroyed what needed to be destroyed, creating balance. Okay. Oh. Uh-oh. So were werewolves creatures of the worm? I said, destroying imbalance? They were Gaia's children, the wolf snarled. Born to herd and contain humans. I can see that something went wrong. I smiled wearily. The weaver grew too ambitious and trapped the worm within its lifeless web. The weasel answered. Confined and denied, the worm went slowly insane. Now Gaia is dying, choked by the weaver and eaten alive by the worm, wailed the wolf. And you cannot reason with the worm, she snarled. You can only fight it. Then it turned and led the way. Child is laughing and crying. The barrels looked as I just remembered them, but somehow calmer, warm, and welcoming. Cornell kneeled one of the mounds, put his hand on it, and whispered a few words. I saw the ground open slowly, like a mouth in the earth. I sighed. Let's do this. We put the body in the hole. Oh, different from the weavers I know of, right? You gotta think, this is a vampire masquerade lore. We took the severed head and the body I wrapped up in sheets and put them in the hole. It closed slowly, and I could swear I heard the trees nearby sigh in anticipation. The wolf howled, and I could feel the hair on my hands rise. Not arm. Welcome to your new life, the talking white weasel grinned. We have something else to show you. I had so many questions. And I finally dared to ask them. I turned to Cornell. Finally, I had a moment alone with Cornell, and there were some things I wanted to discuss with him. What was it between him and Olga? How do you know Olga? She was in my pack back in Berlin, and for a moment we fought the worm together. He shook his head. But then we lost the battle, and she went back to Poland. I put a good word for Olga. I keep asking. So, Soul Weaver or Vamp Weaver? I mean, I just know it's vampire mask, like, because essentially a Gru is like a werewolf vampire kind of vibe, in a sense, because this is like from their world. But it's also like regular werewolves, but also like type of vampire. I don't know. It's weird and hard to explain. I don't know much about it. I just know that the one time I played, I specifically chose the werewolf vampire because I was like, I want to be a werewolf, and they're like, here's the closest thing. It's like, awesome. What do you think about her? I asked. She leads the sept as well as she can, but you know, sometimes I think she just wants revenge, not to solve the problems. Holding something back. Sometimes I wonder whether she isn't. Perhaps tainted by the worm. He sighed and fell silent. Enough talking! The white weasel grinned. We have much to do. So he ran. Oh my god. You're a cub, so you have special privileges. Puchka will grant you a vision. You must see to understand. Think carefully before you choose what to see. The future, the present, the past. I'm gonna say the past because then I can see who my family is, what the debt is that I need to repay, so I can better understand what my future is. It was hard to find the barrows. Although I knew where they were, when I looked behind me, the path had disappeared. I felt the Puchka playing with me. Twisting paths, blocking my way with bushes and dead trees, and then suddenly opening a new path that was straight and full of sunshine. Got tired of it. I pushed on. Determined, I pushed on. Since the change, I'd become acutely aware of how my body worked, and I remembered what humans were good at. Running! Stubborn, relentless, long-distance running. Not as fast as a deer, not as nimble as a wolf, but steady and without rest. So I ran. And then there I was, the burrows. I climbed the nearest hill. When I was at the top, I stumbled on something. A shape in the grass. A skull watching me from its bleached eye sockets. I'm sorry, is that wolf flexing? There is a swirl. It starts deep within me, and then it expands. Everything is in motion, and there is no center anymore. I see a forest. I run among the trees, and suddenly I see a hamlet where a clearing once was. My howl is like a keen. The houses are mere huts. There's almost nothing that protects the people from the forest. Their clothes are rags, their feet are bare, their hair and long beards are unkempt. There are wolf cubs. Geigo wolf. There are wolf cubs, then there is blood. Then the howling begins. The mournful, blood-curdling keen of a mother who has lost her children. Watch, whispers the voice in my head. Watch and remember. But I cannot just stand by and watch. I want to act. I draw glyphs with the wolf's cub's blood, and I pray for retribution. The forest listens to me. The forest wakes up, erupts with rage, and powerful, furred bodies surge through the trees toward the village. The humans try to escape. They scream and beg for mercy. They try to protect themselves with fire. The Guru rise up, their talons red with blood, their eyes glaze with fury, and the fire is yanked from the hands of the villagers. The houses start to burn. The keening turns into a howl of joy. I am there from the very beginning. My family burned villages for the Puchka for ages. Oh, damn. The Guru have my eyes, my face. They are my family. I am the blood of their blood. I am part of the story from the very beginning. And I do it again. And then it happens again. Humans return. They rebuild their village, this time stronger and better protected. The keening begins once more. Then we, the Guru, come down on them like wolves on the cold. And again, villages, new fires, new blood. I don't want to do this anymore. But the keening begins again. My heart fills with grief and rage, and villages burn. Until one day, there's only one Guru left in the family, and he slays his own kindred in the fit of his first rage. I know him. He never forgives himself. I know him. He is young, but I recognize someone in him, an old man I know. He used to tell me stories about the forest before my mother took me away. Grandpa. I stay there and I watch, but I can't move. My throat burns. My stomach is in knots. I want to scream, but I have no mouth. I feel the fire. I smell the blood. How is the game going? Lewis, it's going well. I'm just slowly losing my voice. Because the only time I really talk is on stream, so I'm not used to talking for so long, which is why I don't usually do visual novels too much. But it's going good. I killed my friend, Anya, which I don't understand why they're like, we're gonna bite you and churn you and kill you. It's going good. Going good. It is in your blood, she says to me. Oh, I see a large ash gray wolf looking straight at me. Her eyes are golden. It is your duty. It is you. Come with me, child. Be my fangs and claws. There's no one else to be my cub. Come to me, child. I will nurse you and I will lick your wounds. We will kill together. We will feast and we will be merry. The forest will grow. It's too good. No worries. I looked at her, and perhaps for the first time, I saw her for who she was. Her pelt was marred with fire. Her eyes were smoking embers. Ash was falling from her heaving flanks. She looked old, ancient, seething with anger. She was Kazan's mother. She was mourning incarnate. She was Kazan's mother mourning her stolen cubs, howling in the woods, waiting for a response that never came. But she was more than that. She was more than a wolf. She was also the Puchka. Oh, very nice. Congrats to you, Lewis. She was also the spirit of the forest, the Puchka herself, wounded, hurt, violated, and mourning all her children that humans had killed. At least, that was what I thought when I looked at her. The wolf mother looked at me, and something in her eyes made me realize that she was helping my family for generations, and that my family used to serve her. Join me, she pleaded. Only you can understand me. Only you. Hoping if I join you, I can get revenge for Anya. This is my thinking. I'm going to join you to protect you, and the best way to protect you is to get rid of other werewolves. So no one will get suspicious. I went to her, and she accepted me. And I accepted myself. My family was serving the wolf mother. And I finally understood who I was. Darkness fell again, and a bloody tide was loosed upon the world. So why the shredded wolf? A lone howl pierced the silence like a single ray of moonlight in the darkness. Then there was another one. Then another. Then another. A choir of voices, triumphant and joyful. I opened my eyeballs. Yeah. When I opened my eyes, I was in a clearing. Around me there were wolves. Huge, monstrous wolves howling at the moon. Join them, Nina. Oh, nice. So that sounds like they've learned from other previous games. The pain was overwhelming. My spine cracked and twisted. My knees and ankles broke, and I fell on the ground. My jaw shattered and rearranged itself. My whole skin was on fire. Rippling and sprouting fur, I howled in agony. When I rose, panting and spitting blood, I was Hispo. Okay. With strong paws, mighty jaws, and a mane of fur. More than a wolf, scary and monstrous. Instinctively, I changed and joined the choir. My voice was unsteady at first, but soon I found my own note. A unique addition to the chorus. Well, hello there, chorus smiled at me, and welcome to the Sept. The Sept, whatever that meant. I just listened. Did you listen to him? I realized that my survival depended on learning very quickly, so I just nodded and listened. For a werewolf, the pack is family, Cornell explained. An alliance of packs united in a common goal is a Sept. Of course. I realized that there must be at least 2 packs here. I looked at Olga. Let's look at Cornell. Oh, I'm guessing you didn't hear me. Anya died. That seems like a major event. I chose technically violence because I was like, following my dreams. My dreams had me murdering people. And I don't know, what else would constitute a major thing? I joined the Wolf Mother because I want to see if I can kill all the other werewolves. A giant gray wolf changed into Cornell, and soon Pat and Kim joined him. We are the Winter Weasel Pack, said Kim. A white shadow settled on Pat's shoulder. I smelled musk electricity. Oh, so they're the Winter Weasels. Okay. 3 of the monstrous wolves changed. Olga and Lisa stood up, human-looking, their clothes rumpled. A yellow-eyed wolf by their side turned out to be Daniel! We are the pack of the Morning Wolf Mother. That's so funny. I've been bonding with the weasel people, but I'm with the Wolf Mother. They smelled of ash and tears, and for a moment I saw the wolf spirit among them. We are all Gaia soldiers, said Cornell, and that we have no choice, but we can choose whom we fight alongside. I can chat for her. Why the animal spirits did I have to join? I have so many questions. Why the animal spirits? Let's learn. Does every pack have an animal spirit? I asked, how does that work? Some spirits are called patrons, And not all are animals, Lisa explained, and our packs with them give us additional weapons with which to fight the sickness and corruption of the worm. The last word reeked of decay and burning oil. Then I have to find a pack. Do I have to choose a pack? I asked just to make sure. No, Guru can survive on their own, Cornell said with sympathy. Your old human life is over, but we will never abandon you. Of course. I want to make sure I got plenty of willpower. I have so many questions. The moon? Why did I hear the moon whispering to me? Luna gave us rage. That is why she's important, and that is why you'll never be able to touch silver again. So angry I developed an allergic reaction to silver. Okay. Y'all from over Europe, I noticed. Is this like a standard first sept? Or no? I didn't even know if that was a stupid question or a smart one. I looked at Cornell. Is far from the standard, but desperate times make strange bedfellows. He smiled sadly. Normally a sept is dominated by one tribe, maybe two. There are at least a dozen tribes, Daniel interrupted, and I hope, Maya, that you will choose yours wisely. What about the spirits? How does that work? The world casts a shadow and we call it the Umbra, said Lisa. And in the shadow, every living creature, every emotion and idea, every important object exists as a spirit. That's all you need to know at the moment. So if I got this all right, I've been conscripted into an ancient war against the worm, I said slowly, trying to put it all together. And the moon gave me rage as a weapon, but I must avoid silver. And there's a whole secret world of spirits, and I have to join a pack and choose a tribe. Exactly, Lisa nodded. As for the tribe, there are two people who could mentor you now. Olga is from the Black Furies, an ancient tribe of women warriors, and Cornell is from the Children of Gaia. He's more of a peace and harmony guy. What about my family's tribe? Oh. Hey, what about my family's tribe? I asked. Lisa winced. Daniel sighed. Olga shook her head. Uh-oh. What's the matter? I asked again. Your ancestors were the Get of Fenris, and no one here wants to have anything to do with that tribe, Cornell answered. They stand against everything we believe in. I think I want him. My grandpa had nothing to do with that. Were they really that bad? Rawr! Say some shit to my face. My grandfather didn't even know you. I was outraged. You can't judge me by his tribe's actions. You know that your family was burning villages for centuries, Lisa pointed out. Did you ever wonder why? Get to Fenris are the most radical guru supremists that ever marred the face of Earth. Ooh, maybe I don't want to be them. Kim scoffed. Like legit fascist werewolves. Some of them literally worked for Hitler. Oh no! Oh no! How could they judge my family? I have the right to know my horrible legacy. Who bad? Thank you for telling me. I had the right to learn about where I came from. For a moment, we all fell silent. Learn a lot more about the tribes. There are a lot of werewolves there. So fascist werewolf. Oh man. I want to learn more about the tribes and find an option that would really resonate with who I was. Okay, so Kim, Pat, Lisa, Daniel. Okay. I have some willpower, so let's talk with Pat. Pat was a glass walker, an adaptable tribe of urban human lovers who worship the Weaver, or at least freely use its tools to fight the worm. Hated by the other tribes for their willingness to abandon the old ways and embrace the tools of the enemy. And her tribe was finding its niche in cutting-edge technological cityscapes among the strands of the Weaver's net. It sounded intriguing. We talked about, okay, so they're more modern. You know, they're like, hey, you know, I could just use a phone. And they're like, no, I'm gonna make a fire my way. It's like, I have a lighter. They're like, no. What's she doing in the forest? She didn't look like a werewolf. How did you get a spirit patron? Ooh, what happened to Cornell's old pack? No, let's see what she's doing in the forest. No, this is not a bad winter. So you're basically a city dweller? All glasswalkers are. It's our natural habitat. I feel quite out of place in the forest. Okay. I like the forest. But the pushka was our home. Why? I couldn't understand. The pushka's our home. It may be your home, she said, and suddenly I realized we had less in common than I thought. I'm more of a city girl, she added. We use the weaver to fight the worm, and the forest is not the weaver's domain, and I happen to be quite fond of humanity. They have great potential. Werewolf fed out. Weren't they killing Gaia? No. I'm trying to remember, because there's so many things to learn here. Because I know the worm is bad. Right, the worm is bad. The worm is killing Gaia. The weaver trapped the worm, which is why shit's fucked, if I remember correctly. Because it's like pretty much all three need to be a thing. Weaver, worm, wild, they all need to be a thing because they keep each other in balance. But I think the weaver was like, F you, worm. And worm was like, F you, weaver. And then wild's like, ah. I don't know. I don't remember. There's a lot of lore they're throwing at me. Alright, I wouldn't take you for a werewolf, you know, said Pat. Why? Look harmless. Because you look mostly harmless? She shrugged. I am, and I didn't expect to churn out a werewolf either. I was a student, happy with my tablet and coding, and then boom, I was a guru. How did you meet Cornell? I was curious. I was in his first pack. We were both hanging out with the hacktivist crowd back then. When things went south and he disappeared, I found him. I don't have much willpower. And I'm not really vibing with her tribe, so I don't want to waste it. Girl, please. I'm a tech nerd, so I found him and talked him into coming back. I had to think over what I learned. Alright, Kim. Kim told me a lot about bone gnawers. They stand for the rights of the poor and disenfranchised everywhere, making their homes in hovels, squats, and camps, hated by the other tribes because they act like tame dogs, eating the scraps off the human table. Well, hold on. They try to help everybody. I like that. Urban werewolves fighting for the disadvantaged and the marginalized. Children of the rat? Did they really have a rat as a patron? You really have a rat as the tribe patron? Sure we do, Kim answered. It's a very good patron. Resilient? You want to be like a rat, always managing, always afloat. I mean, they're very clean animals. Very smart. And this here, they gestured around. This comes from the prejudice, and from exclusion, and from greed. Take greed and prejudice away, and 90% of the world's problems are solved. They sighed heavily. Now tell it to the other guru, and they look down at you because you are a bone gnawer, and they think they are superior. Prejudice? Prejudice everywhere. I'm kind of liking them. Because it sounds like they're envy, and they're like, you know, justice. But I gotta see what's up with Daniel and Lisa. Gotta, you know, see my options. I asked Daniel if I could join his tribe, but he didn't understand the question. I'm a red talon, he said, as if it explained everything. It's a red talon. What are the red talons? Born exclusively from wild wolves, most of them hate every human alive for their millennia-long war against predators and wolves all over the planet. The other tribes hate them because they don't compromise and are blind to the suffering of the human half of the group. Oh, so they're full like, wolf! F humans! Wolf only! Okay. No thank you, Daniel. It's the T tribe of the Guru who are born as wolves. We usually don't mix with others, and we kill humans, but since I am the only one here, I decided that it was better to join the rest. Why? He looked at me as if I was stupid. What are you, stupid? There's always strength in numbers. I protect my folk better when there are more werewolves around. Your folk? Wolves. Alright, bye! Lisa? I asked Lisa about her tribe, but she inherited her Shirbaka legacy from her Buyat grandfather. Their hate, sorrow, and rage are deeper than any other tribes because their icy Siberian homeland is melting and decaying. Now, they are despised by the other tribe as half-breed loners who care only for themselves. Oh my god, yeah, there's so much prejudice amongst them. We hate you, we hate you, we hate you. She said I didn't know the proper legends, customs, and culture to join. How did you become a werewolf? My grandpa saw that I had a soul of a wolf and started teaching me about the spirit world. She looked at me with her violet eyes. When the time was right, he guided me through the change. I wish my grandpa would help. Unfriendly! I looked at Lisa and felt a sudden pang of jealousy. I wish my grandpa had been there for me, I growled. I guess he didn't care. Whoa! Oh, and he must have told you many things when you were a baby and you remembered, Lisa said. How else would you know the high tongue? The language of the guru, it depends as much on body language and tone as on actual words. Much of it is instinctive, accented by pheromones, growls, and whines. Oh my god, so... Yeah, beyond beings aren't immune from BH. Alright. Is it a Russian word? So I asked, not sure how to approach the topic. Serbia? I mean, you're from Serbia. I hesitated, Lisa smirked, but the tribe name reminds me of something. Yes, Sibrikia. She pronounced it differently, so it sounded like a Polish word. Must have heard it before. I'm sure that I heard it before in a different context. In Russian, it means someone from Serbia, but in Polish, it has its own very specific meaning. Lisa explained. It's a word for political prisoners exiled to Serbia, and there are tens of thousands of them. What do you prefer? Which mean do you identify with, the Polish or the Russian? Lisa smiled. My tribe name describes both of my legacies. My granny was a political exile, and my grandpa was a Siberian indigenous. I use it because it speaks the truth. What? So I need to know. I'm going with the bone gnars. To bug them with personal question. A lot of werewolves here. One thing is bugging me. Why are there so many of you here? Suddenly everyone is a werewolf, or what? You know nothing, cub! Olga laughed bitterly. A mere century ago, there were dozens of packs in these forests, but none of the old guards survived the 90s, Lisa shook her head. We had to start from scratch. Until you showed up, there were only 6 of us, and the 3 of us not even local, Cornell pointed out. 2 packs too small for their own good. Anyway, before you admit it to a tribe, you need to prove yourself. Prove myself? I was shocked. Had I proved myself enough already by burying my friend? Oh, that's awesome. Way to go, Canada. You went through the first change. Your first change, Pat said. She was leaning on a tree nearby, and you know everything you need to know at the moment. But you have to go through the rite of passage. Dana rubbed against my flank, excited. I'm a moon. I'm a werewolf. Wolf at this time. Okay. A vision quest. Kim winked at me. And since we don't have time for tests, we need you to solve a real problem. Olga stepped in. Namely, we want you to find a way of ending this logging problem, Cornell said gently. So, how would you like to do it? They all looked at me in anticipation. Oh, fudge. I have like 1 will left. I took my time, enjoying the moment. My body was buzzing with energy, ready to shift shape on the slightest sign of danger. My mind was clear. I knew what I had to do. And I knew exactly what I need to do. We need to make the loggers fear nature. I need to talk to the spirits. People need to open their eyes. Because here's the thing. If I make the loggers fear nature, they're just going to keep sending different loggers. So, spirits, hit me up. We need to work with the spirits to succeed. Make the forest itself churn against the loggers. That's another thing. Something is rotten, Cornell commented, and I think that we should find and neutralize local forces that support the logging. Okay, that's a good idea. Pat just laughed. We should create a diversion. There are too little of us for a direct confrontation with the loggers. I'll talk to the spirits and see what they can do to help us. If nature itself destroys the loggers' equipment, there's no one to blame. Lisa looked thoughtful. I'll introduce you to the spirits you need to talk to. Daniel beamed. Spoken like a true Thurgy. You were born under a crescent moon, weren't you, Maya? I don't know. I looked at him surprised. How did he know? Mom always told me that when she gave birth to me, she saw the crescent moon through the window, sharper and brighter than ever before. Oh! You are a Thurgy, Gaia's seer. Oh, shit. Oh. Oh! Worthy Thurgy always acts with wisdom. Thurgy now. I don't think I'm saying it right, but there we go. Your place in the werewolf society will be determined by your renown. Oh god. You can earn glory through defeating mighty enemies and succeeding at dangerous quests. You can earn honor by following your moral imperative and upholding the laws of the Guru. You can earn wisdom by acting efficiently and thinking well before you act. Your renown will change as you play, contributing to Maya's legend among the Guru. No pressure at all! I'm overwhelmed. Olga must have sensed my confusion. Come on, we have a lot to discuss. She patted my shoulder, and we have to find your phone and wallet. Oh god, is that still missing? I nodded and followed her. I had to tie up loose ends in my old life. Yeah, how do you just suddenly disappear into a forest? Easy. I'm missing. Forever. I'm sitting on the bus. The sun streaming through the windows is making it hard to see. The narrow roads cut through the dense old forest. I remember doing something important, walking among the trees, looking for something, losing something I loved, gaining something unwanted. But then, I'm truly awake, and the memories scatter away. We're almost there, says Anya. I did some searching. She looks at me from her phone, and this place is amazing. The last primordial forest in Europe. I'm excited to be... She's alive? I laugh. Anya, you're here! You wouldn't believe! I'm not able to finish. I start to cough. I spit blood. My throat is sore. My lungs hurt. I need to stop the bus. Anya! Anya, I turn to her. Anya is dead. She's sitting there in ripped, muddied clothes, her neck a gaping wound, seeping black blood. What's wrong? A raspy voice comes from the floor. I look down. Her severed head is under the seat, rolling back and forth as the bus speeds up. I feel something dry and acrid in my mouth, and then it starts to move. Spiders! I spit it out and see thousands of small spiders leaving my mouth. Threads of silk covered me, the seat, and everything around us. I'm gonna scream. Ah! I try to scream, but they gag me the moment I open my mouth. A few seconds later, I am covered in cobwebs, unable to move. There's a hiss. Then, slowly, a long, dark, thin shape comes out of Anya's ripped neck. A black snake that reeks of rotten meat, acid, and oil. Don't fight, Mia. You're already mine, it says. Just like your grandpa. And then it kisses me. What do you mean, just like my grandpa? You assault my grandpa too? What is happening? How many chapters are there, by the way? This is wild. This is wild, bro. I thought, I was gonna be like, man, did I just have, like, a whole crazy premonition dream? Nope. I was right. I was like, we did not consent to smoochies. I'm concerned for my grandpa now. Alright. I just want to look real quick how many chapters there are. And give my voice a break. 2 seconds. Chapters are there? It's horrible. I think there are 6 chapters, so if this is chapter 5, we're doing good. Alright! I woke up in my bed, in the B&B, and for a moment, though, the whole werewolf business had been a dream. Then I looked at Anya's empty bed, exactly how she left it the morning we went to the protests. The reality of the situation hit me. Anya was dead. I killed her. I had to clean up the mess. I packed her things, bro. She's missing. Calmly, I packed all her things. Ran the plan over in my head. I had to check us both out, then Pat had promised to take care of the rest. She said she used her favors with some network spirits and hack Anya's phone. We would log into some towers in Germany and the Netherlands, ping the social networks a few times, and before anyone noticed anything was amiss, there would be nothing to tie the disappearances to us. I guess we're gonna be a rage monster. Who would I become? My hands were trembling and I was sweating bullets. I punched the closed door and my hand went straight through the wood, splinters digging deep into my flesh. Oh! I was Grius, the Warform. Pain hits me like a wrecking ball. Every bone in my body breaks and moves and resets. I roar in agony. Panting and growling, I rise and rise and rise. I'm an 8-foot-tall killing machine. I am sad and hurt, and my friend is dead. I wail, overcome with guilt, and the window panes shatter. The shards of glass glimmer in the sun. I smash the room to pieces. I smash the wardrobe. Rawr! One flick of my wrist, and the wardrobe turns into a cloud of splintered wood. I break the bed. I lift the bed and smash it against the floor. Wreck the room. I punch holes in the walls. I smash the windows. I tear Anya's things to pieces. Stop it! Someone shouts to the door. I'm calling the police! I smash the door! I slam my body against the door, fling them down the corridor, and the shouting stops. I change back. Listening to the shouts and distant sirens, I quickly pack what remains of my things. What was I thinking? I asked my reflection in a shard of broken mirror. I didn't know how to answer. Rawr. I shrugged. Whatever the answer was, it was now Maya the werewolf's problem. Maya the student was dead. Nina smashed. I took my bag and left. Alright, everything according to plan. I dropped my bags in the camp and ran through the plan one more time. They expected me to act like a thurgy. We also discussed other plans, both more mundane. Alright, so Philoducks, Justice, Retribution, Rare Beetles, Ragabash, Tricks, Subterfuge, or Thurgy, Spirits, Rituals. I'm gonna say let's go with the Thurgy, because I'm a Thurgy. You know, talk to the spirits kind of vibe. I need to talk to the spirits of the forest, and for that I needed Lisa's help. Until I came along, she was the only only shaman in the 2 packs, so she was happy to finally have an apprentice. Before I could face the spirits, I had to attune to Puchka and learn the proper rites and means of addressing the spirits. Okay. Wisdom. Use spirits to stop the logging. After a few days of camping in the forest, fasting, and meditating, Lisa said I was ready. The spirits of the forest were waiting. The sun was setting. We stood in the middle of the clearing and waited. Spill some of my blood. I spilled my blood as a sacrifice to the spirits and called them by their secret names. We watched the blood sink into the ground and waited. First, there was a murmur, then a whisper among the trees, a rustle of the leaves in the quiet, windless night. Closed my eyeballs so I could listen better. I closed my eyes and the smell of feathers and the night washed over me. Something whispered inside my skull. A voice, like small claws scratching bone. What do you want? It asked. We want justice. Horror! Oh, honor. That said horror. Send the wind and send the rain, O great forest, I chanted. Drown their machines in mud. Break the dead trees so they fall on their heads. We want justice. The rustling continued and the scratching became almost unbearable. Yes, whispered the voice inside my skull. But there is a price. I'm ready. Awoo. I am ready for anything, I shouted. Hunt us, young one. Find and catch us, and then we will help you. Then the presence was gone. Lisa looked at me. What the fuck are you waiting for? Hunt! Alright, Rar? What am I gonna hunt in? Without breaking. There's nothing subtle about it. I feel like I want to be a Hispo. Because I feel like this is just a killing machine. There's no thinking. It's just rar. No, let's go with Hispo. My spine cracked and twisted. My knees and ankles broke, and I fell to the ground. Jaw, skin rippling, sprouting fur howled. Okay, so I have changed. I changed? Oh, no. Okay. Yeah. That's what I want to be. I sniff the air. I gotta know where I'm going, you know? My nose full of scents, my ears full of noises. I turned my head left and right, sniffing the air. There. I caught the scent and jumped toward a shape that emerged from the nearby bushes. It was a stag, pretty in life. A perfect vessel for the spirits. It stood there for a moment, and then it caught my scent and bolted. And off we go! The stag was fast, but I was faster. I smelled its fear and heard its hooves beating the ground. With every pounce, I was closing the distance between us. Yeah, focus on this hunt. I blocked out everything apart from my prey. The forest had faded away, leaving only us and the hunt. Closer. I could smell its sweat, hear its heartbeat in the darkness. It was almost too easy. I was not letting my prey get away. I pushed myself to the limit. Yeah, let's get to balanced rage. There was no way that I was letting my prey get away. Push myself to the limit. I pushed myself. My muscles and lungs burned. It was almost too easy. I launched from the ground with my hind legs and landed on the stag's back. The hunt was over. It didn't say kill him. It didn't say kill it. I changed to get a better grip. I am clever. My muscles spasm rearranged, clenched, panting, whimpering, change. More than human, da-da-da. Alright, I pinned my prey to the ground, it went limp, and then started struggling again, and I realized that the spirit I was chasing was already elsewhere, but it was too late. Something moved behind me? Something moved behind me, something big. Big ol' machine. I'm big too. More in pain. Okay, 8 foot tall killing machine. I'm going to attack! Puchka friendly. Oh! I turned to attack, but when I saw what was behind me, I stopped in my tracks. At first, I thought it was a bison standing there with its head lowered, but then it straightened and stood on its hind legs. Ivy was wrought around its armor, and its eyes were dark and wise. It said in a voice so deep it shook my bones, Mia, it's you. Oh, I went from loyal to friendly. Uh-oh. I hit the forest straight in the chest with all my weight. Oh, God. The monstrous bison slaps the side of my head. All of this is bad. I'm gonna jump away. Yeah. I fell to the ground, moving away from its hooves. I don't think I can push. I'm just gonna push it away. I push at it with all my might, and I feel it stumble. And then I made a mistake. And then a hoof hit my temple, and I blacked out for a moment. Oh, Puchka is sympathetic. Oh no, did I lose status with Puchka? My body reset itself to the familiar shape. Bones broke and fused again. Prior to that, human again. Wolf in sheep's clothing. As I lay there panting, an owl landed on my shoulder. It lowered its head toward my ear. We won't help you, weakling. It said with the voice of trees and stones and birds. Disappeared in the mist. Shit! Well, I couldn't sleep that night. Closing the deal with the spirits was supposed to be my rite of passage, and I failed. What would be the consequence? I didn't know, and that scared me. We met soon after the sunrise in the same clearing where I woke up for the first time as a guru. Lisa looked at us all inside. Our patrons were looking at her expectantly, so she stepped towards the center of the clearing. I am the Thurgi of this sept, and I'm here to make sure we do things the right way. She turned to me and I held my breath. Maya, come forth. Are you a cub who seeks recognition as an adult? Yes. I am, I answered solemnly. Are you an applicant to a tribe? I think so. I really don't know. I am? Who speaks for the cub? I do. I'm Zoria of the Shiberkan, Thurgi of the Morning Wolf Mother Pack. I observed the cub on her mission, and I'm here to tell the story. Zoria? But I have to take a new name? Secret name's cool. Take a new name? I guess they all had secret werewolf names. It made sense. A new life demanded a new name. Would I also have to take a new name? Has the cub passed her challenge? Asked Olga. No, I didn't. I sagged knowing that I failed. Lisa was cautious. She failed, was the inevitable answer. It was a disaster. She's not ready. So what now? I asked, should I pack my things and go home or what? We should have spent more time teaching the cub and test her when she was ready. Lisa gave Olga her I told you so look. There was no time, Olga snapped. There were so many things I wanted to say, but I bit my tongue and stayed quiet. I'll vouch for her. Chrono put his hand on my arm. The challenge was unfair, and she did well for a cub. I'm just gonna wait. I waited for the decision. So be it, said Lisa after a while. But if anything goes wrong, the cub is your responsibility. Have you chosen your name? Lisa turned to me. My new secret name. Suddenly, I remembered my grandfather talking about his old friends. He never used their real names. They were always Thunder, or Gray, or Needle. I always thought it was a gorilla thing, some kind of war name. And I wasn't so sure anymore. How to capture my whole life, my aspirations, my personality, my heritage in one name. I cleared my throat. Missed, a name with more than one meaning. Wichira, which was Polish for gale. Pine, a tree in the forest. Enigma, a mystery. Ooh! I don't know if the game will let me, but I do want to just murder everybody. It's cheesy, but let's be Enigma. I'm a mystery because I don't know what's going on. I answered thinking how it was a mystery, even to myself. Choosing the tribe was another matter. Bonar. You found your place among the marginalized. After getting to know all of them better, I decided to become a Bonar. Kim agreed to mentor me. Only one thing remained to end the ceremony to make me a full-fledged guru. I had to join a pack. I was already sworn to the Wolf Mother. Oh, why are you cautious? As my fate had been already tied with the Wolf Mother, I chose her as my patron and joined Olga's pack. Really awkward. According to ancient rites, Lisa painted the mystical glyph of my tribe on my sternum. Okay. It disappeared after a moment, but whenever I closed my eyes, I could feel its warm touch between my breasts. Enigma of the Bonars! Thergi of the Morning Wolf Mother pack. Welcome to our set, she said solemnly, then she howled. Aboo. Howls rose toward the sky. They sang about ancient laws of war, status, and secrecy. I remembered only a few. Combat the worm wherever it dwells and wherever it breeds. Submit to those of higher station. Respect those beneath you. The veil shall not be lifted. I'm not gonna respect higher. Rank Cleith. Make your own legend. I threw my head back and howled with my sept. I was a cub no more. I was ready to tell my own stories, to earn my own place in the pack, to howl my own songs. Awoo. It's great. I'm just. Chapter 6. The Storm. Dun, 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 dun. It was one of those blistering summer days when the asphalt melts, the grass withers, and the air smothers those brave enough to step outside. Despite the heat, it felt like the whole village was at the funeral. I stood there, surrounded by people weeping over their loss, looking at the rosaries they clutched in their fists. Something tightened my chest. For a brief, chilling moment, I thought I saw Anya's face among the crowd. But no, I buried her in the barrows myself, and nobody there even knew that she was dead. Yeah, I was like, whose funeral are we at? Boba detective. Anya was not the reason we gathered in the churchyard. The body of a hunter had been found in the forest. The circumstances of his death were unclear. It was our doing. We did it. It was our doing. My doing. And the death had tipped the scales. Thergi. Since the deaths, I started seeing shadowy figures, their faces flickering in the corner of my eye. Were they just figments of my imagination, or my own pack of hungry spirits followed me, waiting for my mistake? It's called PTSD. I could feel the tension seething around me. This death, this funeral had pushed the community, already weary and frightened by the recent disappearance of an activist in the forest, to the edge. Press is neutral. The press had swarmed to the funeral like flies. I could hear them squawking about how both sides of the conflict were escalating the situation. The police had cordoned off the funeral and were aggressively searching and detaining any activist they noticed. Suddenly, Pushcha Ryatsabatska is one of the last and largest remaining parts of the primordial forest once stretched. Okay, so it's the forest. Had become politically charged and the hottest place to be in Poland. And it wasn't only local politicians and activists from both sides who caught wind of the commotion. The Minister of Environment himself had driven there to attend the funeral. He was standing next to the priest conducting the ceremony, surrounded by police and what looked like a handful of bodyguards. The coffin went down and the crowd stirred. Everyone started lining up to throw a handful of dust on the coffin or put flowers on the grave. I found myself face to face with Bartek. I got swept by the crowd and found myself with Bartek. There should be another coffin here, because we both know that she's dead. He looked me in the eyes. I really liked Anya, you know? Bartek. It all has something to do with you, he said, and I will find out what. Say nothing. I didn't know what to say. Bartek looked me in the eyes. Funny thing, it's like all the strange things started happening as soon as you all came here. I looked over his shoulder at the crowd. It was clear that many people felt the same way that he did, and the minister knew how to use that sentiment. Uh-oh. I watched in disbelief as the priest handed him the mic. He wasn't someone you'd call a good speaker. He spoke at length about the Polish economy, the importance of the free market, and the liberty of the people to make money from what God had given them to reign over, the earth. Judging by the reactions, it was exactly what the crowd wanted to hear. I'm gonna get my rage up. I realized the conflict was only going to escalate. He was determined to push on with the logging. We were determined to stand our ground, even if the forest had abandoned us. We were ready to negotiate. It was high noon. The sun was at its most merciless, and the world was almost white with heat. The air smelled of herbs, bark, and tree sap. Insects buzzed lazily in the high grass, stunned by the summer sun. The day was stifling as we set up the protests. The whole clearing was decorated with banners, and we all had our placards. Wood is the enemy of the forest was our main slogan, but there were many more. My sign conveyed my anger. I wanted to protest against greed. I wrote something constructive. Make the whole Puchka a national park, demanded my sign. It was a viable solution. It was a viable solution. I thought the whole Puchka would be protected and people could still earn money on tourists. There weren't so many of us, but everyone in the clearing knew why we were there. We weren't the only ones in the clearing. A group of local citizens, their banners reading, "Foresters save trees from Wordworm," and "Foresters equal jobs," trying to get the attention of the media. Puchka was watching us. Puchka is sympathetic. Every time a gust of wind was bringing the wet smell of the forest to my nostrils, I felt her strong, steadfast presence. She knew that we were doing everything in our power to save her. For centuries, my family served the Puchka, burning villages and hunting down people who dared to hurt her. And now I was the last guru of my lineage. What legacy did I want to leave behind? The pressure was almost palpable, and tempers were flaring. Cops were gathering. I looked at my back. Cops are gathering. Police is hostile. The cops are gathering in increasing numbers, and I noticed some SWAT teams joining them. Uh-oh. We gotta go. It was apparent that they were waiting for something. Everyone knows what to do, Olga asked, looking at my pack. I'll keep the security guards occupied, nodded Lisa, and I'll guard the Puchka's perimeter, growled Daniel. Okay. The weasels were in their positions among the protesters, as agreed. That left the cops to me. Was it too late to negotiate? Olga's neutral. I think that we should keep talking. It's not too late for a peaceful solution. Yeah, good luck about that. Olga nodded with a bitter expression. It reached a boiling point when the minister arrived for a photo op. I had a bad feeling all around. My stomach churned when I saw the black SUVs. I had a bad feeling. Press is neutral. He posed and played the great statesman while the bored journalist took pictures and asked prearranged questions. Just another day in the media circus. In hindsight, you could argue that what happened next set a chain of events in motion that had life-changing consequences for many. But it all started earlier, but change didn't happen just like that. But at that moment, I didn't know that. I was way past thinking I was action incarnate, one with myself and the world around me. Focused and in the flow, the members of my sept had already moved to their positions, and I also had my part to play. The minister was bad news. It was our chance. Start negotiations. Ooh, I don't have any willpower. Bad news. With him at the scene, everything will get harder, I sighed, pointing at the minister. Olga nodded. We went back to regroup. I wasn't ready to give up. Yeah, just regroup. The activists, humans, and werewolves alike listened as we told them what had happened. The atmosphere was tense. We prepared ourselves for the worst-case scenario. Okay, let's move, I heard someone shout. Move it, people, move it. You know what to do. And they did. There was a lot of laughter and friendly pushing, chains clinking, and some people darted up to the trees to seat themselves in the branches. Third, or I was assigned to the human chain. Ooh. Do I use my willpower now, or do I try to save it? I'm supposed to become a third, right? I have no glory, but I got honor and wisdom. Relations. Let's see. Make a pact with the spirits and use them to stop the logging. Or earn glory, honor, and make your own legend. Learn your family history, pursue the game. Yeah. The human chain. I helped to form the human chain. Hey, I heard. Get those arms behind you. That's it. Attaboy. It hurts, moaned a man's voice. Next time, do some yoga beforehand, huh? That's it. People, open your hearts so you can hold your wrists behind your backs. Wrists? I threaded my arms to the arms of the people to my left and right, and then grabbed my wrists behind my back. It was tight on my shoulders, hot and very sweaty. Then we waited. We sat down, one long human chain, and watched the loggers and police as they approached, and then stopped. We didn't move. A tense silence filled the clearing. It worked. The talk started there and then. I could see that the minister was an apt politician, and that he could smell a deal for himself in it all. But I didn't really care. We got what we wanted. Started to talk. You stood for the peaceful solution. When the talk started, we weren't alone. Luckily, our failed attempt to manipulate events from behind the scenes hadn't ruined our chances. There had been some consequences, but we managed to work around them. So we started talking, and it became big. I don't know what tipped the scales in the end. The press, the international attention, the local interests coming together, our passion. Finally, an agreement was reached, but our talks weren't easy. The state forest, the woodworkers, the local population, ecologists, scientists, activists, everyone wanted something. I was by no means an expert, but I wanted to play my part in the proceedings. I made sure the talks were fair. So I decided to observe the talks and make sure everything was okay. The spiritual side of the situation interested me, and I wanted to make sure that both sides had good intentions. The talks went on and on. Everyone at the scene had their own opinion and their own point of view, and I had mine. In the middle of it all was, of course, the spruce bark beetle, a dangerous infestation and a convenient excuse for the logging. The beetle had always been a part of the forest ecosystem, pointed out one of the ecologists, but the recent droughts made the spruce more susceptible than ever, foresters countered. We have to cut down the trees to stop a total disaster. I saw one problem with this approach. Oh my god, I have only one willpower. I didn't trust the officials. The Prutsky would manage! The Prutsky would manage as she always had. It was primordial forest and had its own mechanisms of dealing with infestations. This was how it renewed itself. You fetishize the forest, scoffed one of the officers. People cultivated it for hundreds of years, and it cannot survive without our help. He's right. You want to take our forest from us, a group of locals attacked the activists. You're not from here, and you tell us how to live our lives. Just a forest. They looked at the push guys as if it was just yet another state-owned commercial forest, but it wasn't. If they had to change their lifestyle to save this unique ecosystem, maybe they should. Opinions clashed, tempers flared, but eventually new constructive ideas started to emerge. At least one of them caught my attention. The whole area should be a national park. International observers could help. Winning the local populace. Whole area. Boom. There was a recurrent idea to make all forests in the area a part of the national park. The logging would be impossible, and there'd be much more money from tourism. It was a long and hot day. I rubbed my eyes. I was so tired I could barely keep it open. My head was spinning. Keep going. But I kept going. What was a little heat stroke when there's so much at stake? Of course, they had to make it dramatic. There were cameras, there were lights, and the negotiations lasted all day long. We reached the first draft of an agreement literally at sunset. I had no doubts. They only decided to stop the logging because they realized there was something in it for them. But at that moment, I just looked at the sky and laughed. I felt overwhelming relief. And then exhaustion caught up with me. I found a quiet spot, sank to the ground, and fell asleep. Epilogue? Okay. I never thought it would end like this. Humans surprised me. You were human 2 weeks ago. Yeah, sure, the humans were important, but they were the problem we needed to solve, not the problem solvers. And yet, in the coming weeks, they proved to be just that. They had plans for education, for patrolling the forest, for making a permanent camp near it. I felt cheated. I didn't know how to good. Glad. It wasn't the war Olga had talked about, but it was good. Yay! There was still hope, and I felt relief. Rain had stopped. It was quiet. The logging had stopped, and I was proud I had a hand in it. I talked with people, listened to their ideas, shared their enthusiasm. We planned, we joked, we laughed. At some point, I found myself sitting near an old local woman. She smiled at me, all wrinkles, missing teeth, and bad attitude. Want some water? So you're the young Borotchichovkan people have been talking about, she said when I shared my water with her. Yeah? I answered, unsure what would happen next. She laughed. I was a little worried when I first heard about you. I mean, goddamn werewolves always make such a mess. Huh? Wait, you know? Of course I know. I've lived here since I was a little girl, and I knew your grandpa when he was young. She winked at me. The problem is you're always looking for another glorious battle, she scoffed. It was bullshit, but I wanted battles. So what, were we useless? So we're useless? Don't be stupid. You act on impulse like children or animals. When you want to do something, you just do it, she laughed. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. She smiled at me. But this time, we managed to actually help do something good. We'll see what happens next. Confident, yeah. I smiled, satisfied. Time would tell if she was right. Can you tell me about my grandpa? He gathered in the clearing in which I'd first woken up as a guru. Lisa stood in the middle of the clearing, the wolf and the weasel by her side. Now, she said, looking at Cornell and Olga. You two, you need to solve this today. Olga nodded. There was determination in her eyes. I didn't always agree with you, Cornell, she said, but we could use your skills right now. That night we voted, that night we planned the future. The night was long and full of hope. Olga tried to keep the sept together. Olga talked with Cornell and Kim and Pat for a very long time, trying to convince them to stay. They weren't fond of the idea. Wait, but Kim is Bone Gnasher. Ooh. I'm supposed to kind of stay with the forest because of the whole blood tie thing. Hold on. I managed to convince them. I watched them go. I went with them. You know what? Go with them. Because how can you help the impoverished and marginalized if you're just in a forest, you know? Like, travel. Go with them. You are like a leaf on the wind. A few days later, we set off. I felt like there was nothing else keeping me here. Lisa and our patrons made sure that we did right by Guru law and the sept matters were resolved. But more had happened that summer. But it didn't cover everything that happened that summer, though, so some consequences would have to unravel with time. Bartek was alive? Despite everything that had happened, Bartek managed to see another day. He joined forces with his father and became a true enemy of the forest. I blocked him on social media after he posted yet another climate change denial video. But it was all still ahead of me. For now, the first chapter of my new life was coming to an end. I'd come there for my family. I'd come to learn something about my roots, and now I knew them. But my grandfather had been right to leave. I would take Puchka with me wherever I went, but I couldn't stay with her. But I loved the Puchka, and I knew she was watching over me. Your story's almost over. This might be a good time to take the last look at your character sheet. Oh, why? Why? I have very small amounts of honor. How would you get max honor? I'm supposed to be a third year, but I'm just... What is my rank? Cleith? Not yet of any significant rank. Okay, so I'm just a baby. Condition, family history. Wolf mother. Managed to stop the logging. Relations. Dead. Let's see. Loyal, cautious. Daniel's unfriendly. It's complicated. Kim, sympathetic, loyal. Lisa's unfriendly. Olga's cautious. Pat's neutral. Sympathetic. Police hostile. Press neutral. Late that night, I was sitting with my back against a tree older than the country I was born in, watching the stars. They were moving, dancing around me, and it was only after a moment that I realized they were fireflies. I watched the bugs glowing with their inner light, writing fleeting love poems on the dark vellum of the night. I sat there till the sun came up and revealed the Puchka in her morning glory. I watched, unblinking, trying to etch every detail in my memory. Then I went to pack my bags. You have finished Heart of the Forest! Cubs gather around the fire and listen to the story of Maya Borodich, known among the Guru as Enigma of the Bone Gnawers, Thurgi of the Morning Wolf Mother Pack. She always honored her pacts with spirits. Maya managed to negotiate a fragile peace and stop the harvesters. The change had begun. Ooh, it's getting hard to read. The first protests against the logging of the forest took place in 2016. The game was loosely inspired by those events. All characters and events depicted in this game are entirely fictitious. Oh. Okay. So, hi, our pack has been designed and developed by different tales. Okay, there we go. Hold on, write this down. But this is the song. Okay. So a wonderful Unity engine. Well, there we go. That's Werewolf the Apocalypse, Heart of the Forest. Interesting. Not bad. I'm curious how other things would have played out, but I think we did okay. That old lady at the end who was just too old to... Right? She's just like, y'all are werewolves. They're like, what? You know? It's like, of course I know. I literally live in the forest. I knew your grandfather. It's like, can you tell me more about my grandfather? No. Werewolf. God, like, what show was it? There was, like, a sci-fi show, and it dealt with werewolves. And, like, the thing was that there was no female werewolves, right? It was only dudes who were werewolves forever and ever. Like, it's a myth that there could ever be a woman werewolf. And I'm like, okay. And then one of the werewolf dudes, like, bites his girlfriend, and she's, like, a werewolf. And everybody's like, oh my god, you're a werewolf. They're like, you're the first female werewolf in, like, hundreds of years, you know? That whole vibe. And at one point, like, in the show, I think it's, like, the third or second season, another person finds out that they're werewolves, and she goes off on this chick. She's like, you don't know anything about us, you're just some human. And I'm like, girl, you were a human like 3 months ago. Get off your horse. Just thought it was funny. Anyway, what time is it? We're Or oh, I gotta edit this, and my voice is gone.
My voice is gone. So I think we'll end it here for today. Cause, yeah.
But I believe, yeah, Monday I should be back. If not, I'll be sure to message you guys in the Discord, but I'll be doing the movie stuff again. Well, thank you for sticking around. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'm gonna go chug so much water, because that was almost 3 hours of reading.
Oh boy.
Well, Suzu, Smasi.
Bye-bye.